welcome to this episode of the 1224 podcast. I'm Kate.
And I'm Shay.
And we're here to talk to you about everything animation.
So
Shayla.
What?
You know about birds?
Sure.
Yeah, they do a lot of cool things.
Yeah, they're fake.
They're fake?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
They don't exist.
Then what are the little things that fly out?
Bugs.
I guess, but they only have wings. Like, okay, wait. Bugs and birds have wings, but like birds' wings, they have feathers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You got me there.
You got. All we do here is lie, and that's okay.
Lying's sometimes good for the soul.
Lying works, just like bullying.
Yeah, I bullied my mom to go back to college, so yeah, bullying works.
Oh my god, I love it for your mom though.
Please don't bully people.
Yeah, don't bully people. This disclaimer, y'all. Depends on the context.
Why are we talking about birds?
Oh, well, actually, today's episode we'll be talking about the critically acclaimed adult show Tuca and Bertie.
Yay. I don't know how to do anything. We're still in person. It's still weird.
Yeah. We don't know how to start things. But it's a process. And I feel like the show itself also speaks to that in a way. When it comes to the themes that they show in the show. But yeah, Shay, would you like to explain the amazing world of Tuca and Bertie?
Oh, sure. So Tuca and Bertie follows the adventures of Bertie, who is a bush bird.
I think it's a song for us. Well, because that's her last name. But
that's true.
Yeah.
I'm a liar.
No, it's okay.
And Tuca Toucan, who are best friends. And then also Bertie's boyfriend, Speckle, who's a robin. And it's just kind of about, like their zany adventures, plus like kind of the struggles of adulthood, especially like they're in their 30s from what I remember.
Yes.
Yeah, specifically in their dirties, which I cannot relate to.
Same.
But I like this show, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, same.
That's really the premise.
Woo. Yeah, that was a good premise. I think we both can relate to it, as obviously we're not in our 30s, but like I think, as young adults, we can have some relation to it.
Yeah.
A lot of relation to it, actually.
Too much.
Too much. But Tuca and Bertie is created by Lisa Hannawalt, who previously worked on BoJack Horseman and has made a major influence on the show before going into Tuca and Bertie. I just looked this up this morning, but like Tuca and Bertie was like a webcomic, but it was just with Tuca.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I usually, because I follow Lisa on Instagram, so usually when I follow people, I go on like really weird research things.
I love that for you. I wish I had the time and attention span for that.
No, you don't. That's the reason why I procrastinate on my work. Because I'll look at something and they'll be like, "Oh, I want to know more." Like that's.
I feel like that's a good trait to have, though.
It's like a good trait, but then like, it leads to like kind of not like useless information, but like you'll just know random things.
But I love that about you.
Oh, thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, I was almost about to say a random fact again.
No, say a random fact.
Did you know that, and I think one of the designers for Code Lyoko worked on the anime Skate Infinity and designed the skateboards?
I remember you telling me this, actually. I kind of love that. Is it like, does it give a hint to any of the show or no?
No, it's just, so like,
okay.
This is a tangent, I'm so sorry.
It's alright.
No, it just kind of turned out that way. I think because like the closest thing I would say is just like Odd from Code Lyoko's a cat boy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Skate Infinity, there's a cat boy character named Mia, which I think Mia's birthday is coming up.
Oh my god.
I love Skate Infinity. That's your
Still on
Shayla
my
fact
list.
of the day about myself. But
Yay.
yeah, it's like, yeah, so like I basically, this is a long way of saying yes, I knew about the comic because I read the comic.
Thank you, Shayla. No, you're fine. That's too good. I feel like long answers or short answers are all accepted here.
They're all accepted until I start talking about the Wiggles. Like
Stop the Wiggles. A long story.
yeah.
Maybe we'll mention it one day.
But yeah, so it used to start off as a webcomic, just focused on Tuca only, and most of it was, from what I remember, it's just mostly about like eggs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think I like from what I saw, it was on her website, but it was only like a snippet of it, like a short comic of it
Mm-hmm.
about like I think she in the comic itself it was just talking about like her period and
Yeah.
like she's like every month like my hormones kick in and then I have to lay out this egg and I want to make like a cute little nest for myself and reorganize it and then by the end of the month I don't like it and so I destroy it and I'm like yeah I felt that.
I think I saw one where, I might also be making this up. I thought there was one where she laid the egg and then she just ate it.
Oh my god. Honestly,
I think
yeah.
those ones were like either on like Vice or the New Yorker or something.
Oh, huh.
I know she's done comics for like newspaper publications.
Wow.
Like I don't know if they were like properly published.
Mm-hmm.
But I know they were at least on the online versions of like
Oh, that's really cool.
yeah. I enjoy her comic work a lot.
Yeah.
So like she does like the 24-hour comics day, hourly comics day, which is like a thing on like February 1st where like a bunch of artists just literally catalog their day hour by hour.
Wow.
I don't do it because I have school and I will forget.
Valid. It's a
But
big commitment.
it's a very big commitment. But because she's done them, and then also she has like, I like her, basically I like her comics a lot because they're very funny and they're very in line with like the show's humor. And so like Tuca and Bertie is definitely like hers.
Yeah.
Like it feels like hers. And
Mhm.
like I just like when I watch stuff and I'm like, this is very definitively what this person is. Just in
Mm.
like a creative form, or like
Yeah.
I always find that very cool.
That's so cool. I like hearing about people's like perspectives or like, you know, being a fan of the creator for so long before like, you know, I guess like not stardom, but like, you know, making such a big leap into like TV production, for example, with Lisa.
Yeah.
Like it's so interesting how people can like just jump from like, you know, making comics or being in like the cartooning kind of like comic like industry, then moving on to like animation. Like sure they have like similar ish like overlaps with each other, but it's like still just such a cool and big leap to, you know, transition from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think also too, especially in like recent years since like I've been in like art school, I've gotten more into comics as like not just like as like something to consume, but also like something that I can like do. I mean,
For sure, yeah.
like I took a cartooning class and like that was very like eye-opening. And then also while I was home for like vacation, I was at like this like local bookstore and they have some like indie comics there. I thought those were really cool. Yeah, I think it's just cool seeing especially like comics and graphic novels outside of like a major publication
Oh, for sure,
like thing
right.
too.
Right.
Because I mean, granted, I don't read like a lot of like I mean, I do, obviously, but like I'm not like so much like a superhero comic person as much personally. So a lot of comics I read are very like they're literally just graphic novels, like one shot graphic novels, and then I'm like, okay, read this in a day, we're done. But yeah, I find Lisa's work very very cool. Yeah. I forgot what we were talking about specifically.
No, you're fine. I think that kind of like wrapped the bow about like, Tuca and Bertie like starting out as kind of like a webcomic. But I think we can just move on to the show itself about like, I don't know, it just made me really think about like watching the show in its entirety. Just made me think about like why birds, like I kind of also sense that like there's this kind of like matriarchy when it comes to birds. Like whenever you think of like, a bird, right? It's like you have the mommy bird, like, taking care of its like children and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know, there's just some kind of like meaning to that, I guess. Yeah.
No, I get that. Because like I think too with like so like all the designs within like Tuca and Bertie, like most of them are birds, right? But then like you have like some random characters that aren't birds, like the monkey guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And then like the plants and stuff. And I think there's like dogs.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, there is the dogs. I wonder too, is the show itself connected to BoJack Horseman in any way because of the fact that they're all like anthropomorphic animals?
No. So BoJack Horseman is like, this is going to be me describing the logistics of BoJack Horseman.
Yeah, no worries.
So BoJack Horseman, it's more like half animal, half human population.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Like very explicitly. Versus Tuca and Bertie, where there's only like one human character that showed up for a gag.
Yeah.
But no, BoJack's like more based in like reality.
Right, yeah, because you'd have like celebrity guest stars.
Yeah,
really?
so like
a
lot of celebrities would show up like as themselves, or like if it's not like as them, it's like an animal parody.
Okay.
And stuff. It's just more so like, yeah, I would say BoJack Horseman more like 50 human, 50 animal. While Tuca and Bertie is like 99.9% animal.
99. Minus that 1%, that one human.
Yeah, which was
in that one episode.
Random.
A little creepy, but I think that's what makes it funny.
Yeah. Like I think like their animal philosophy in terms of like the characters that are like animals, like still retain like their animal traits, like besides just physically. Like at certain points, I think BoJack leans less into that sometimes, while Tuca and Bertie just goes full throttle with it. So like that, we're gonna mention probably these again, but like the whole episode about like the Mother's Day thing where like they do like the bird like regurgitating thing, or like there's like another thing in the show, like Tuca and Bertie's more absurdist.
Oh, for sure.
Basically, yeah.
For sure, yeah. Okay, yeah, that's interesting. Sorry, I haven't seen BoJack in a hot minute, and I haven't finished the show, so I'm like, my like idea of BoJack is so skewed. And there's some similarities, but yeah.
I'm sorry. As a person who's finished BoJack and also watched a whole season before going to see Spider-Verse.
Scary.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
The final few seasons are a lot.
Yeah. I mean, like for me, I've watched BoJack and I'm like, I don't think I've finished the final. I haven't seen the final seasons, I don't think. But even then, like the episodes like really hit hard for me, and I think that's why I stopped watching.
Yeah.
But yeah. Like we can talk further more about it, but like as you mentioned, like the bird feeding like Mother's Day like episode, it made me think about like, I wonder how much like research they put into like bird research for the show. And despite its like absurdity, I feel like that like looking up like fun facts about birds is what brings more of like the show's character.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Yeah,
I think when watching Tuca and Bertie especially, it's not that I don't forget that they're birds, because I'm always confronted with that fact, no matter like if there's like a pun in the show, or like again the Mother's Day episode.
Yeah.
Or like I think there's like one thing they're talking about, like an egg. I think it was like the final episode like of the whole series, where they mention like eggs and stuff. But like, I don't know. I'm a person who watches a lot of shows that just have animals in them as stand-ins for humans.
Valid.
Yeah. Like I just watch an abnormal amount, I think, and like I always find that makes like the show more human. But I think it's also because there's like a weird disconnect because you're like, oh, they're like little funny animals, and then like you watch, you're like, wait, they're just like me. You're like, wait a minute. I think it's funny.
So Shay, from that statement, would that also make you a furry from all the accusations that you made at me?
Why are you
about
saying
being a furry?
accusations like it's not true?
I didn't say that it wasn't true, but I also wanted to, mention that, like, if I'm furry, because I watch all these shows, and then you say you watch all these shows.
You're a
wouldn't that make
furry
you
because there was one time you saw a wolf character and then you immediately made a face
End of episode.
that suggested that you would like to be with that wolf character.
That is not what I said. Okay, receipts or it didn't happen.
Okay, so you want to time travel back to January? Is that what you want to do? No, December. It was December of 2022.
Damn, you got me there, Shane. But answer the question.
I wouldn't consider myself a furry necessarily because I think wolves are very overdone, like, species.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, my whole thing with, I just wish that they, like, I saw more creative options in terms of that.
So I'm still a furry.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, awesome. Moving on. Cool. Let's see. Okay, so let's talk about the birds.
Okay.
As if we haven't already been talking about it.
I mean, we would talk about it very generally, I think.
Yeah.
Because, like, we keep getting derailed about the most random things.
Yeah.
Like, you asking if I'm a furry.
I'm just going with the flow of this episode, honestly.
Everyone, Kate's the only one who wrote notes. I came down here with a blank, like, drawing pad and a dead pen.
That poor little pen.
But, yeah, we can talk about them.
Yeah, we could start with the main cast. Yeah, so Tuca is voiced by Tiffany Haddish, and Bertie is voiced by Ali Wong.
Yeah.
Solidarity.
Shake
hands. Sorry, my hand's sweaty.
Yeah, and I'm using my wrong hand.
Okay. Yeah, which I think is really cool. I also really love that they are like woman of color coded and queer. Not queer coded, but they're both queer, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's
slay.
Yeah, slay, a big slay. Sorry. We're shaking hands again.
Hey, stop making you reach over here.
It's okay. We shook hands again because we were we used the wrong hand.
But yeah, no, I love their dynamic.
Oh yeah.
In the show.
100%.
It's definitely based off of like classic, like more like, I wouldn't say Bertie's a straight man at all.
Yeah.
In any way. But like she's like the quote unquote I wouldn't say calm either. Like she's like the one who has like her life together. I'm using a lot of quotation marks. And then Tuca's like kind of like the wild card. Yeah, like, but the thing is like I like how the show, like, even though like it's like a very like standard dynamic in a sense, they don't go out of their way. They do a good job of like breaking down those, and then also like even like diverging from them, like when it makes sense. So like the big thing that stands out to me, so like season 3, right, like the whole thing where Tuca wants kids, right, but she's unable to, but like Bertie does not want kids at all. And I find that very interesting because it's like you would think it's flipped,
right? Yeah,
like if you're initially watching it, because like the whole like series is very much like Bertie is moving over her boyfriend and they're trying to start a life together and everything. And like Tuca doesn't always have like the most stable relationships throughout the show. I don't know. I found that very interesting.
Oh, for sure.
And I thought it was like a good approach to it too.
I really like that too, just because like we don't see enough of representation with that.
Yeah.
Like, speaking of Bertie's boyfriend, Speckle.
Oh yeah, Speckle.
Oh, sweet boy Speckle, voiced by Stephen Yeun, iconic. Love. Side tangent, but still related to the show. I really like the casting of the show. Like I really appreciate the casting in general, but also the fact of like the identities that the characters hold in relation to the actors
Oh
like
yeah.
hold up. And I think like for example, I'm just thinking about like Tuca's like relatives
Yeah.
and then Speckle's like sister and stuff like that still being casted as like their own like marginalized like racial identity,
Yeah.
which I think is really neat and I think a lot of more people should do.
Yeah, I will say I like that Tuca and Bertie does do like make sure like 'cause I think a majority of the cast too are people of color too. Because I know like the chef, I hate him.
Boo.
He's voiced by Sungwon Cho, Pro ZD, I think.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is. From what I
didn't
remember
know
reading,
that.
I might be wrong.
I thought he only played Kyle.
No, I think he also.
It might be though.
Yeah, I think he also plays the chef.
That's so crazy. Pastry Pete.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Which like I'm glad that I see Pro ZD like whenever I watch stuff now.
He has range.
He has a very good range. I love him. But no, I always appreciate that about the show. Like even though it's still like celebrity voice actors, there's still like celebrity voices playing these characters. I think they all do a really good job though. And also like they choose ones that have had like previous experience voice acting. Because like Steven Yeun's been on Voltron. There's another show he was
Invincible?
On. Thank you. I was like, I know there's another
You're
one.
Fine.
I was like, just Voltron is like
number one.
Yeah, Voltron, Invincible. He's on something else, I think.
I think so.
Unless
like,
I'm only thinking about Tuca and Bertie for that.
Now, honestly, same. I was thinking the same.
And then I was gonna say Walking Dead, but then I remember that's not animated, and I have not seen Walking Dead. But yeah, no, like he's had previous experience. He does really well in voice acting. I think he does a good job too of like changing. I mean, he's an actor, so he's of course good at like channeling like different characters. But like I think he does a really good. I think Ali Wong does a really good job. Like I don't know, it's just because I'm not always used to hearing her voice, but like as Bertie, I just didn't recognize her. Yeah, I think she does a really good job as Bertie. I don't think.
Yeah.
Well, she's done voice work for Big Mouth, but I think that's the only other thing she's done. I might be wrong.
Ali Wong?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think so.
I know she. Yeah, I just know she did a character for Big Mouth, and that was like a whole thing.
Yeah.
And then Tiffany Haddish has done voice work because she has a very distinctive voice.
Oh, for
just
sure.
in general. So she's like one of those people, like if they voice act, you'll know it's her.
Mm-hmm.
I think she does a really good job as Tuca, too. I think initially when I first watched the show, I had a hard time being like, this isn't Tiffany Haddish, this is Tuca. Mm-hmm. But like, I think she does such a good job, like especially like as like the show goes on, not like I'm just like, oh no, that's Tuca. That's not just Tiffany Haddish.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I think they all like play off each other really well too. Because I know second season, I think that's the pandemic season where they had to record.
Oh wow.
Like separately, and even then that's fine. It's just only like Steven's like lines sound a little weird, but like I think everyone does a good job.
I didn't really notice that, huh?
There's like one episode or like a few episodes where he sounds a little weird. Okay. Because he's like recording from home.
Yeah.
I think. But I don't know if that's because it was like the pandemic specifically or he had something else to do.
Right.
But like
interesting.
Yeah, I mean like actors have been recording like in separate booths.
Yeah.
Forever. And then also like it's not the craziest thing I've ever heard. Yeah. Like Duckman, like that show. So there's a show called Duckman that used to air on the USA Network by the company Klasky Shuba, who did like Rugrats and everything. And so one of the characters who's a pig, he's like a pig detective. That actor I think was like in Russia or something at one point. So he had to record all of his lines over the telephone.
Oh wow.
And it sounded fine. Huh. So like
wow. I love that. Wait.
Yeah, this is another tangent.
You're fine. That's interesting.
Yeah, but I think everyone does like a really good job too, and I think like they do good jobs when they need to be wacky and when they need to be serious and like balancing the two. Also, I also think it's good that they got comedians.
Oh, for sure.
For the main roles,
agreed.
Or at least they know like people who could do good comedic delivery.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I really appreciate the voice acting in the show.
Yeah, totally agree. Like, it's such a strong, like, cast, even if it is just 3 characters. Like, it works so well, you know? So, 100% agree.
I agree.
Solidarity.
Solidarity. We should have watched that before Rush Hour.
Honestly, though, or maybe as, like, a palate cleanser. Before the storm.
Yeah. But, yeah, no. Really like the voice acting. I love that they're consistent with their casting. Because, again, they're birds.
Yeah.
There's not, like, a very specific, like, race. To like, they're different, like, species of birds, but it's never, like, framed as, like, it's, like, there's, like, a race thing to the birds.
Right, yeah. Like, it's more coded than it's, like, oh, that's an Asian bird, you know?
Or, like, back in my day, we didn't allow, like, toucans to stay at this diner. I don't know.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like, it isn't like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not systemic, but, like, I don't know anymore.
I don't know either.
Social construct.
Yeah.
U.S. social constructs that, yeah, basically.
Because, like, because the thing is, it's not like Tuca and Bertie's not, like, devoid of, like, social commentary.
Oh, for sure.
Because, like, the whole show is very, like, focused on, like, kind of, like, talking about specifically, like, I don't know the words. What is it? Like, it's very, like, a lot of experiences are, like, very, like, feminine focus. That's not
for sure, yeah.
Because, like, a lot of it, like, a lot of it just stems more from, like, gender specifically, too, which, like, I think is also just contributed to, like, Lisa Hanawalt. Like, her main experience is, like, she doesn't have, like, a marginalized race experience because she is, like, white.
Yeah.
So, like, but, like, I think what she writes really well.
Also agree.
Yeah.
I think it's also, too, of the fact that not only the main cast are the actors, but they're also executive producers for the show. So I feel like that also gives, you know, Lisa Hanawalt, like, you know, a more of, like, a perspective, like, on the show. Just because, like I said before, I really like how the characters are coded, but not necessarily, like, related to, like, the actor's identity, but still kind of is in a way. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, obviously, I can't speak for, like, Tuca and, like, Tiffany Haddish's identity and stuff like that. But, like, I think, for example, for, like, for me, when it comes to Bertie's, like, specifically, like, her anxiety and mental health and, like, bottling everything, I feel like it relates to me in a lot, like, as, like, an Asian woman. And, like, you know, how my relatives really didn't talk about, like, you know, mental health, and when it comes to therapy, they think you're crazy. But, like, you know, I also just really like, you know, still, like I said before, like, casting, like, you know, Black voice actors for, like, Tuca's, like relatives and stuff like that, and etc. and stuff like that. I don't know. I think there's a lot of, like, things that kind of link to, like, identities that we hold in terms of, like, race, but, like, I also really do like the implications behind it.
Yeah. Like, when I watch the show, like, I can't, like, with Tuca stuff, I can't always directly relate to it.
For sure,
like, personally, because I think her other thing, too, is just, like, a lot of family trauma. Like, specifically that. So, like, I mean, I can relate to, like, a certain extent, but, like, it's not, like, a direct relation to me, right? So, usually when I watch the show, I usually, like, I can relate to, like, Tuca and, like, certain things, or, like, I recognize experiences. So, season 3's, like, her big, like, medical arc, right? And so, like, while I don't have, like, a specific, like, experience I relate to, I do, like, feel the experience because I'm, like, reminded of, like, so, like, Black women specifically in the United States are, like, treated really badly by doctors. And so like I am reminded of that somewhat when I watch it. Because like they're all like, well, we don't know like this pain that's going on. Might just be like, I think you're just like overreacting, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because like of course it's like the intersectionality of identity specifically. So I think that's why I was like this is a little like
this is hit it close.
Like a little close to home.
Yeah.
And like even then like again, like it's like with the intersectionality of it, that's why I was like, wait a minute. Because I think from what I remember hearing about some of the behind the scenes like writing stuff about it, I think I might be wrong. I'm going off the top of my head for some of this. But I think Lisa or like one of the writers directly pulled from their own experience of that too. And I like where like they have like a not like it's not undisclosed. It's like a non-diagnosed like condition or something specifically to like their uterus.
Oh wow, okay.
And so like that was like the basis of it. I don't know, like it's more so just like understanding like a general experience, I think, versus like direct relatability.
Right, for
like,
sure.
If I was going like off of direct relatability, it would be Bertie, because I'm just a very, very like anxious person.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
On top of that, like it's even though like I say that like, oh my god, Bertie's agent coded because she's just like me.
No,
for
but
real.
like no, I understand what you're.
It's totally cool. Like I also wanted to add too is that like, you know, beyond that, like Tuca and Bertie also have like specific, flaws and also or like arcs that like a lot of like just women of color or just like queer people in general can relate to. So like, like just, being in toxic relationships or like, really heavy stuff, by the way. Like, disclaimer, like as we further talk, in this episode, like there may be mentions of like very, very heavy topics. As this show is very comedic, they really hit home sometimes. But yeah, I think too, a lot of Bertie's like anxiety and like I think, for example, in season 1, when she has like a whole like panic attack, like in the grocery store, like 100% relatable. To like a lot of audiences. Yeah,
I think. Sorry, I'm like still trying to sort my thoughts out. I have so many thoughts.
No, you're fine. Same. I feel like too, Tuca and Bertie is such a packed show. I mean, it's 3 seasons, 10 episodes each, 20 minutes.
We are talking about the whole series.
Exactly. So we'd be here all day. Yeah. If we were to talk about literally every episode, but yeah.
You're talking about the characters. I also just like that they're really good at making sure the characters at the end of the day still talk to each other, even if it takes like an episode or 2 for everything to come up, but like there's still like a good sense of communication, like on both ends too.
Right. Yeah.
I don't remember what season it was because I rewatched the series semi-recently, like a few months ago recently. But it was like where I think Bertie was talking about how she's like a haunted house. It's either season 2
season
or 3.
Okay. Yeah.
Like that whole thing, and she's like, I don't want to let anyone in. Right? But then they're like,
let us in.
Like basically Tuca and Speckle just like burst in and they're like, hey, like it's fine. I think also like I really like the metaphor that she's a haunted house specifically.
Yeah.
Because they explain it in the show, but it's like Speckle's an architect, right? So like he's like, okay, yeah, I know how houses work. And he's like, and like this isn't that bad. Like hey, you're gonna be fine. I'm here. And then like Tuca just has like a sense of adventure. So she's like, oh, it's fine if like you're a haunted house. Like
like that type of stuff.
Yeah, like it's fine. Like you'll get through it. Like I like that specifically that metaphor because I'm like because you're like oh wait yeah like they're there for her no matter
Right.
when. They're not gonna leave. So I don't know. I just really like that like their dynamic a lot, and there's a lot. It's just a lot of stuff I'm trying to remember. I'm like,
no, you're fine. We love a good supporting trio.
yeah.
I also really like how Speckle is kind of like in the mix, but
Yeah.
like he's such a male wife.
Also, because like Speckle in the first season, like he's kind of like not like directly the catalyst of like the main conflict of the first season, but he's like kind of part of that reason.
Right.
Too.
Yeah.
Because okay, this is me trying to remember stuff because it's been a while.
Oh, good.
So season 1 starts off with Bertie and Speckle moving into like their own place together, and Tuca moves out to like the next floor because Tuca and Bertie used to be roommates, and so a lot of like half of season 1 I think is like I think half of it is like not Tuca resenting Speckle, it's just like there's like a riff, like a one-sided riff between them, I think. And so I don't know, so like it's I guess a catalyst.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think the way they handle Speckle is like really good.
Yeah.
Because like he slightly kind of like makes a rift between their friendship, but it's not like in a way that's like toxic for
Or like intentional.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it just happens.
Right.
It's just like Tuca and Bertie are like different points of their life. Like not in a sense where like their friendship will suffer because of it.
Yeah.
It's just at the moment they just are at two different stages of like their own like personal journeys.
For sure, right.
Yeah.
And it's like I think that's just how life is when it comes to friendship. Like I think they handle like what a friendship looks like a healthy friendship looks like with Tuca and Bertie really, really good, because it's like it's normal to have these kinds of conflicts, right?
Yeah.
Like I mean, bestie. We're college besties. It's so weird because like whenever I watch Tuca and Bertie, I just think of us.
Oh my god, me too.
Oh my god, starts crying. I'm literally in tears almost.
We both watched Tuca, we're like, damn, that's crazy.
So crazy. I start crying in this episode. But like, you know, it's like I don't know. It's normal to have conflict whenever you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
And it's I think they really handle that in a good way where it isn't like them just like fighting all the time, or it isn't toxic, because it's like good to have like fights in a way.
Yeah, and it's not even like Tuca's mad at Bertie either. Yeah. She's just like, I just feel like I'm pushed aside a little. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
Like it's not like hostile. It just is.
Yeah, it just is. Like it's a valid feeling to have.
And like even then, like later on through the series, like you don't get like episodes where it's like just Tuca and Speckle.
I love Tuca and Speckle episodes.
Where it's just
so
like,
good.
Which I also like that Speckle isn't just again like the straight man.
Yeah,
He's
right.
Very, very unhinged.
He's so real.
Yeah, because like you know he's like a little goofy because like first episode he has like the picture, and you're like, okay, yeah,
that
like,
silly picture.
And then the whole first episode is just kind of like, I think the first episode is the most gruesome episode.
Yeah, I love when they. So basically, the first episode, right, is so you know obviously Speckle moves into the apartment, and then Tuca wants to borrow some sugar from Bertie because they're now neighbors, and that's a neighbor thing to do. But the sugar ends up being Speckle's grandma's ashes,
and they bake into a cake.
Yeah, and so what does Speckle do?
He eats it. Keep in mind the cake's like talking because it's possessed by his like grandma.
Yeah, and his grandma requested that he should eat her as the cake, so then her soul will be free.
And she's just like talking to him as he's eating it. He's
So
like, oh
sad.
wow, you grew up so much.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Which,
be
like,
tall.
that is like the weirdest part of the show.
Yeah.
Which is saying something because a building has boobs on in the first season.
Exactly. I want to talk about the theme soon.
We can talk about. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I just like Speckle because I think he's funny. I also like that they give him kind of his own arc too, which is really nice because it's kind of like deconstructing how I think also the audience saw him a bit too, just as like Birdie's like support, like the only that because I think it's season 3, like where he's like, hey, like I also want to be supported and stuff, and like, and I said, slay Speckle.
Slay Speckle. I think it's because, like, he's earned that respect from the audience, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, just not being, like, Birdie's love interest or just being, like, the stray man. Like, he's more than that.
Yeah, again,
And, like,
I don't, at that point, he's just like, he's just with Tuca just for fun.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I love Speckle episodes. They're so fun.
So good. Like, I like that they did take that time to be like, hey, like Speckle's also like a person too within like this show. Because even though like the show is very like centered on like Tuca and Bertie, because it is their show.
Woman.
Yeah. Like they're just like, and also like too with the show too, especially like it's not like male characters are always like awful. But like I think all the ones people remember, like you're like, oh, it's like the ones that did like all like the really shitty things too. So it's like some, and then you're like, but then there's Speckle. So I think I don't know. I think it was good. Like they also were like, hey, Speckle's like one can be just as weird as them too, like in the construct of the show. Just like remember that he is like still a person.
Right.
I think it was good that they did that.
Yeah, I also agree because it's not like blatantly saying not all men are bad, but like there are men in our lives that are healthy.
Yeah.
People that want to do better and, do better for the male dominated world that we're in and like not shit on women, basically, and other marginalized gender identities. So
not
like
all men.
Wait, what was that?
Not all men.
I say it more eloquently.
Yeah, no, I like the approach, and then again, I like that they go out their way to also do like Tuca and Speckle episodes specifically.
Agreed. Yeah.
Because like, I just like the way that they handle the trio very well.
Me too. Yeah.
Like it's very like they feel definitely like a close knit family, and everything. I really like that.
Yeah.
And like they feel like friends, and like I'm thinking about the episode where like Speckle and Bertie meet. I think that's also like a good indicator.
Oh
yeah, it was like very sweet because it's like okay, Tuca and Bertie have each other's backs. Like Speckle, I just like
it's
their
so
dynamic.
wholesome.
It's very good. It's very funny.
It's very silly.
It's very silly because the Speckle's whole baker thing, but like
yeah. Oh my gosh, I have to rewatch that one.
It's so good. I think also like not so much character based. I know I mentioned before. I just like that everyone communicates about everything in the show, and I like that that's like a central theme of it.
I love communication. It's so important. I feel like it's cheesy when you say communication is key, but like I think it's like such an important thing to have.
It's a theme of the show.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
yeah. People should look for this show, guys. Yeah. I mean, going off of what I said before about like Speckle, like it's beyond like not all men, but also like men could still be victims of like toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
And like, Speckle having, being vulnerable to those feelings, I think is such a good representation of how men should approach their emotions and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think too, it helps illustrate kind of too, because I think when we talk about like toxic masculinity, you always talk it in regards to affecting like more so the effect on like women or like feminine presenting people,
Right.
versus like also the effects on like men and masculine presenting people. Cause I think like we forget it is like a two-way street with two lanes versus like a one-way street with a dead end.
Right.
Like I think that's what also the show excels at. Like sometimes I do wish they only had 3 seasons, they got canceled. So like
we'll talk more on that.
So we won't like exactly get, I don't know if we'll ever get that.
Yeah.
Like I wish, like sometimes I do wish they explored that.
Like the both and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like I do think like they do explore both and, because we get like Speckle and Figgy too. I can't believe I didn't mention Figgy until now. But like they're like really like good characters and like good people. But I do wish like we got more exploration of it. And
I'm so mad. Sorry, fist clenched right now.
I wish we got more Speckle and Figgy hanging out, even though it's a really weird like friendship.
I also agree.
Yeah.
I forgot about Figgy for a minute.
Do we want to talk about secondary characters?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah.
Also, really random. Bertie is a baker. I just love that Bertie's a baker.
Yeah. As a baker myself, I'm not. I'm a hobbyist.
I felt same.
I'm a hobbyist, and I cried over making meringues for my friends.
They were so good, though.
Thank
they were
you.
so yummy.
I was thinking if I want to make more, because I still have eggs left, and they're really easy to make. But yeah, no, I like that she's a baker, and she's like a baker and like a magazine editor.
Yeah.
And then Tuca has like odd jobs. So like by like I think 3rd season, she has like a consistent job,
right?
As like a tour
person.
Yeah, because the city's flooded.
Exactly.
I love how everyone has to piece together what's happening.
There's so much going on. We're like bouncing off of different points.
But yeah, I find their jobs very interesting. Like, oh, he's an architect. Mm-hmm. Like Bertie's like a baker, magazine person. Tuca is like doing whatever, but like she's good at what she does.
Yeah. Like she's the wild card, and I think that's really, I don't know, it's just a fun concept. And she's also like, Tuca's also like sober.
Yeah.
And I think that's really neat, because it's like, to each their own, but like I guess drinking is seen as like, you know, something that makes you like a fun person, but like it's so cool seeing like a sober person just living her best life.
Yeah.
And like they don't need to, you know, be like intoxicated to have fun.
Yeah. And it's also like too, like, because the shows like she struggled with that beforehand too. And I like that the show is very like, I'm glad that they chose them to be like in their 30s too. Because again, I can't relate to that. Not yet. I hope to. But I like that they kind of chose them at like a older segment of their life that we don't see in TV a lot.
Facts.
I mean, like, you can argue for like animation, we do see like characters in their 30s, because we have like for adult animation a lot of characters that do like are like in family, so it's like pre-established, like mom, dad, 3 kids. It's always 3 kids.
Bob's Burgers. Simpsons.
I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking about Family Guy.
Family Guy.
Yeah. And so
true.
With Tuca and Bertie, I like that like they very much said, okay, like this is a show about like, one, it's like again 2 like female leads. Both of them don't have like families of their, like they have families obviously, like they have like their parents and like their siblings and stuff, but it's not like they have like kids of their own. And then also they're like, and 2, when we have shows where like, oh, like a female like character doesn't have a family, they're usually in their 20s. And I like that we said no, they're in their 30s. And they confirm it in the show, because they say verbatim, like, I think they say, like, I'm 32.
No, literally, no. I watched an episode this morning, and Tuca's like, I'm 30.
Yeah.
And
I said,
yes. Thank you for being explicit.
Yeah, because I think, like, I mean, of course, like there's other shows where I can like reference like, oh, they're like in their 30s or older, like Golden Girls. Like I don't think none of the Golden Girls have kids, from what I remember. But like the only other show I can think about that's like that is Dollface, which is a live action show on Hulu. It has like Brenda Song in it, Shay Mitchell,
Huh.
Kat Dennings from Two Broke Girls, and like Marvel stuff.
Huh.
It's a fun show, very
Wow.
millennial, but like it's fun.
Okay, I'll look into that. That
Yeah,
sounds
'cause I think
interesting.
they're all in their 30s, or like they're very much nearing their 30s. So they have like kind of the same concerns as Tuca and Bertie, but also like the show is especially like very focused on like repairing like friendships amongst like women and stuff. And I think they're both good shows to watch like together because they kind of touch upon similar themes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, I'm just saying I don't see a lot of media personally where they're like in their 30s, but like it's not like they have a family already, or like their main concern is like for the whole show is like having a family or something.
Right.
Right, because like Duke and Bray celebrates their age, I think, too, which is really nice. Versus like saying like, "Oh, you're 30, you're about to
Boo, go
die."
away, old ladies.
Yeah, because like they
Yeah.
still have fun, they still go out and like, and even then, if they don't go out, which isn't like a prominent part of like the show either way, they still go into like wacky adventures,
Mm-hmm.
and I like that a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it gives perspective because it's like, you know, because you don't see that.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, what happens after college, right? Is the
Mhm.
party over? Did I peak too like much in college or something like that? When it's not the case at all. Like your life doesn't end when you're out of college or
Mhm.
whatever, or when you graduate out of high school or something. And it's like, where am I going with this? I think too, it's also really reassuring to
Mhm.
watch a show like this because it's like when I guess when you're thinking about being in the adult world, you're like, oh, you have to be serious all the time. Or
Yeah.
like you have to act a certain way and put up this front in order to like make it into society. When it's like when watching the show, I'm like, oh, they're as goofy as I am and they're in their 30s. That's
Yeah.
kind of cool. Even though it is a cartoon, but like even then it's like, you know, it's still there's still some kind of grounding in reality in the show, which
Mhm.
I really like. And it validates like me and how my personality usually is.
I think for
Yeah.
me, it like, well, I think it's a combination of like Tuca and Bertie. Because for reference, Tuca and Bertie came out when we were in high school.
Yeah, that's also true.
And so I remember because back in my high school, I talked a lot to my teachers just because I watched a lot of the same things as them. And like also, I just related a bit more to my teachers in a weird way. I don't know how to explain it,
No, that's valid.
but because I remember I would talk, I think Tuca and Bertie, and then also just like my teachers, like my favorite, like literally my favorite teacher of all time. I think they reassured me that like I don't have to like rush everything in my 20s, cuz like I used to be very much like if I am not like if I don't have like my animation job by 25, my life is over. And then I was also like crazy cuz like if I don't have like my own show by the time I'm 30, my life is over. Which now I'm like, are you okay?
Young Shay bestie.
High school was really scary for me.
Yeah.
I mean, not scary as middle school. Middle school was awful. But high school was
Felt that.
also bad. But I think like my teachers too, because like my favorite teacher, like she like at the time, like she wasn't like married or anyone. She wasn't like focused on having kids. Like it wasn't a priority. And she was like in her mid 30s, right, too. And like she'll openly express that to us, and like she'll talk about like her life when she was like in her 20s, and like she's like, yeah, that's just
Wow.
like she's like that was just my life though, like then. And she's
Aw.
like, I'm much happier now, and I was like, cool. And I think especially again like media showing that too, like helped me not want to rush through so many things, and like made me want to go at my own pace with my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, I mean, I'm still, like, very, like, career-oriented, but I'm not, like, as strict about it, right? Like, I still have the same goals, but I'm not, like, giving myself, like, a age or time limit for it.
Right.
Like, I mean, I still want an animation job. I'm sorry if I was ever negative on
Same.
this podcast. I love everything I talk about.
Literally same, guys. We need jobs.
Please.
Please.
But I think, I don't know, like, I think this show, and then again, like, having examples of people, too, I think it helps, at least me, like, not feel like I'm wasting my life.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like, your life doesn't end when, when you're past your 20s,
Yeah, like, I mean, my grandma, she's turning 80 this year,
Yeah.
which is wild.
Wow.
For me, at least, because she's always just been stuck at 72
Oh,
to
grandma.
me, and she's still, like,
She's
running
living it
around
up.
places, yeah.
Love that for her.
Yeah, so, I don't know, I appreciate Tuca and Bertie, like, with, like, one, explicitly saying the ages of characters, and then two, like, again, like, making sure these characters don't fall so, like, directly into, like, archetypes,
Yeah.
too, which, like, I think also that helps, too, because, like, of course, we talk about, like, the race of, like, the voice actors, too, and so, like, that someone makes the characters, like, somewhat coded with a race, but not directly.
Directly, right, yeah.
And so I think it was good, especially that they still, like, said, like, here's a diverging path of the archetype, too, because then, like, some would argue, like, especially with Tuca, like, she's stereotypical in a sense, but, like, I never felt that from her.
Right,
personally.
for sure. Like, I think, speaking of that with Tuca, right, I think they were able to, give that personality to her, but also, like, dig deep within that, and, like, there's more beyond her identity that makes her so carefree and confident.
Yeah.
I think too, it's when it comes to character designing, like, for example, seeing Tuca and Bertie's, like, differing, like, designs and, like, fashion, like, you have Tuca wearing, like, a tank top and short shorts, while Bertie's, like, sweater, jeans and stuff, but they're both, like, very confident in their bodies and stuff like that. But I feel like, I was just kind of thinking about this, but I feel like Tuca is more, like, themes of, like, woman physicality is more, like, talked about within Tuca's personality, and they kind of delve into that, and, being in her, like taking care of her body, and, like, going to, like, the hospital because of, like, her illness and stuff like that, while Bertie's a lot more of, like, the emotional, like, aspect of, like, woman emotions, I guess. I don't know. Like, woman mental health, basically.
Because, I see that. I think also, too, like, even though they have, like, those, like, as, like, their specific things, too, I like that they still cross over a lot.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
No. Yeah. Because, like, I think, too, with Tuca, it's, like, you understand, like, a lot of her actions because you learn about, like, her mom dying. Because, like, there's, like, a one-off joke in, like, the first season where it's like, oh, yeah, I like watching car crashes on YouTube because it makes me laugh. And then you find out that her mom died in a car crash.
Yeah, right.
Which you're like, oh, it's, like, a coping mechanism. And, like, then there's also, like, the whole,
I just realized that. That's so...
What you did?
Oof, yeah. While you were just talking about it, my mind was just blown. I'm sorry,
Yeah, no, because, like, of course, like, people cope differently. Like, and, like, hers is, like, kind of, like, humor in a sense.
Right,
I think, too. So it's, like... So I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then also, like, she has, like, a deep concern for, like, her aunt who's in the hospital and everything. So she does, like, a lot of stuff because, like, her older sister had to take care of her since her mom died. So I think, like, with Tuca, like, a lot of stuff, like, plays into, like, that trauma.
For
sure. It's, like, building blocks.
Layers.
Yes, layers, like an onion.
Shrek.
Watch Puss in Boots. It's probably out of theaters by the time this releases.
listen to our episode coming soon.
Yeah.
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 I think I really like that I made the observation about like, you know, Tuca's character focusing on like woman physical health and
Mhm.
Bertie being like focusing on like woman mental health, but I feel like you said I love that they still overlap with each other.
Yeah.
And I think too it reminded me of like the image popped into my head of that like claymation at the end of
Mhm.
season 1 where it happens before. It's when like Tuca like finds this cave that Treka is in, and she kind of like lays in the water, and like she gets this like trippy like vision, and it's like this awesome like cool claymation, and it's like at first it's like the sequence of like, you know, insecurities and like Bertie kind of like talking at her for being like irresponsible and stuff like that, and then like at the end when she kind of like recognizes that, but also like, you know, stands up,
Mhm.
you know, for herself against it. There's like this image of like, you know, this animation of like Tuca and Bertie's like faces coming together and becoming this like yin and yang,
Yeah.
which I think is really neat because I feel like like we were talking about before, they make such a good like dynamic.
Yeah.
They're so they have such a good and healthy friendship, and they like kind of like they just complement each other basically,
Mhm.
is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I just thought about this as you were like talking.
Mhm.
Do you think also with like, so like, because you're saying, of course, like Birdie's whole thing is like her own mental health,
Mhm.
and I just realized that stems from like something that happened to her physically, like the jelly licks thing.
You're so right.
Because for context, she got was this sexually
Yeah.
assaulted,
Yeah.
like when she was in summer camp.
The Jelly Lakes.
Yeah, and so yeah, no, I just realized like, oh wait, so
Wow, yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think
Huh.
I don't know. I think like the show like is again, the show is really good at like going through kind of like different stages of coping
Yeah.
and like and also like kind of like too again like the opposite. Because like, I wouldn't say like Tuca and Bertie are like direct opposites of each other. Because like even though we keep saying Bertie's very anxious, Bertie's also very very goofy.
Yeah, she is. She's quirky.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think again, I think the show does a good job of like doing like kind of like these paralleling.
Yes. Like paralleling, complementing, maybe.
Like arcs. I don't
Yeah.
know if paralleling's a word. That's what I was like, wait.
No, I think it is.
Yeah.
I feel like they like there are differences. So it's like the both and of things,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot.
I like how we were gonna be like, yeah, let's talk about other characters, and then we didn't.
But yeah, the show does a good job of that. It's a really interesting like thing.
Yeah, they're good foils of each other. That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
Speaking of foils, let's talk about Figgy.
Let's talk about Figgy. Oh, Figgy. Finally, minor characters, baby.
Yeah. Okay, so I think there's like some minor characters we don't have to touch much upon. Like the guy at her job. Like the
Dirk.
Yeah, or there's Dirk.
Yeah.
I didn't remember his name, I'll be very honest with you.
No, you're fine. It was just recently that I watched the show.
Because there's Dirk who's
season 1, yeah.
Stereotypical toxic masculinity like type character. But I think like they deconstruct that at one point, I think.
I think
him.
so.
But like I don't remember the specifics.
Yeah. Was it the Kyle episode?
There was a Kyle episode and I thought there was another episode.
There might be. I only kind of skimmed through season 2.
Yeah.
And kind of just mostly focused on the gentrification era.
They do.
Yeah.
Gentrification is represented by moss. Okay.
Yep, exactly.
The way.
Snap.
We're trying to get through so much.
Yeah, there is.
These are going to be very long episodes.
That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, there's Kyle, who, like, he's just, like, Bertie's, like, really, like, misogynistic, like, coworker. Then there's, like, another coworker.
Oh, no, the Kyle is,
No, I know, that's the guy in her head.
Oh, okay.
I meant Dirk.
Sorry. Same thing, right?
Yeah. Kyle is the Dubro in her head that's voiced by, someone Cho. Again.
Prosy Deep, my guy.
then, yeah, Dirk is her coworker, who I think goes under arc, but I haven't watched the show in a while, so I cannot fully elaborate.
You're fine. Holland is like the boss.
Yeah, then
but
there's that one like coworker who's like a woman who kind of perpetuates like patriarchy, like toxic masculinity stuff also.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a good addition.
Agreed.
Too.
Woman can still uphold the patriarchy.
It's very crazy.
So crazy.
Yeah, so like there's like episodes about that. We're sorry that we're like speeding through because
no, it's fine. I mean, because they're pretty minor characters that show up in and out in episodes. There's the dog character who like lives in the apartment building.
Yeah.
He's like a theater kid.
Yeah.
But he's an adult, but like
there's Bruce.
Yeah. Who's Bruce?
The turkey that always is like saying shit
yeah. The sussy
like, yeah, he's the
apartment
one
person. Or the
like,
neighbor.
He's like a representation of like catcalling, like sexualizing of like women,
right?
Because
stinky.
He says like a comment to Tuca where it's like, "Oh, like don't you want to sleep?" It's like, "Don't you want to sleep with me or something?"
Yeah.
And Tuca's like, "No," and then he's like, "What about the time before?" She's like, "Okay," and like,
right. Moving on.
Yeah, I mean, he also becomes like a big player in the gentrification thing. Because like he gets like the penthouse.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Everything. Because he's like,
remember that?
Because he's like, "Oh, why do you hate poor people?" And then he gets rich. He's like, "Oh, poor people."
Never mind.
Yeah, he's mainly just used as like a comedic joke, but more so at his own expense.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think that's all the big. I mean, there's Draca, who's like plant lady.
Cool.
Yeah, she moves on season 2. Just like a representation of what the girls want to be, I would say. Yeah.
Also, too, there are like in a few instances of the seasons, there are like these plant teens in the apartment building too.
Yeah.
That are like cool or whatever.
Yeah, it's mainly like season 3 because season 3 Draco only shows up once, and because she doesn't live in the apartment complex anymore, because she got moved out by the moss and everything. And they said like you can't have pets like on the thing, so the teens move in. Then one teen like idolizes Bertie to like
I remember that.
Great, so it's like a really interesting cycle of like not like cycle, but like Tuca and Bertie want to be like Draca or want to be liked by her. I don't think they really want to be liked by the teens, but they're just like, oh, these like weird teens. But then like when the teens like idolizes Bertie, it's like interesting.
Yeah. Age.
Yeah, age is
crazy.
Fun. I think Drake is like she's like 20 something, or she's like in her 30s. Like
I never really questioned her age. I just assumed that she was the same age as Tuca and Bertie.
She might be. I'm just
no, you're fine.
Yeah. I think that's all the big minor characters.
Yeah.
Like the consistent ones. Besides like Tuca's family.
Yeah.
And everything, but
Then Bertie's family's just only slightly, like maybe like once an episode in seasons 2 and 3.
Yeah,
show up.
Beckel's sister shows up twice.
Yeah,
because there's the
bachelor party,
the bachelorette party, and then there's the wedding.
Yeah, and then I feel like I'm forgetting. Well, I mean, there's Pastry Pete.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna save him so we could talk about him more.
Yeah,
I'm just getting through all the characters that like don't have as many.
Well, there's Kara in season 2.
Oh, we're also talking of.
Yeah. Do we mention the 2 baddies later, or do we?
Let's just do it.
Okay, sure. Okay. Let's start with Pastry Pete since he shows up in season 1.
Yeah.
Boo. Tomato. Oh, Pastry Pete. We all hate you. All my homies hate Pastry Pete. Look what you done to Shay. They have their hands on their face right now.
I hate chefs.
Same.
Specifically patissiers. I don't even know if that's like the right word for the person. I just know that's a French word.
This is the first time I'm hearing this word.
It just means like pastries.
Boo pastry shots.
Boo.
You're stinky. How do we even start? Like
Pastry Pete. is an asshole. He
Real.
so he's introduced because Bertie Bertie mentions him because he's like a famous chef. Right? And of course, like by this point they already established that she likes baking in the first episode with grandma cake. And so things we know about Pastry Pete, he's famous chef. Bertie has a little crush on him. And then like at some point he notices her or something. It's been a while.
Yeah. Like she basically like comes in and like because they're trying to get the grandma ashes back.
Yeah.
Tuca challenges Pastry Pete into like making it. I think it's a croissant like battle between him and Bertie.
Yeah. So like Bertie loses, but like she becomes his apprentice.
Yeah.
Right. And so a lot of the season, it's like about her balancing this apprentice job and also her normal job at like the magazine. I don't remember if it's a cooking magazine specifically. Because
no, it's not.
Okay, because I know like the parody it's Condé Nast, right? Like that's
yes, yeah.
And I know it's a parody of Condé Nast, which is a real life like magazine place, and they run stuff like Bon Appetit and like I think Epicurious.
Oh,
from what I
okay.
remember.
Yeah,
which I think is really funny. Well, it's not funny. It's not like direct parallels to like the whole like controversy with Condé Nast, but I think it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Still applies.
Yeah, like, but basically, when she was cooking one day, she gets assaulted by Pastry Pete.
Yeah,
which like
lots of unneeded, unwanting touch.
Yeah, which I think the show does a really good job of deconstructing her feelings, and because it's also because she has like a very complicated thing with it too, because the show also established she was attracted to Pete too, and like there's a whole episode where she's like, I keep imagining the assault like in bed and stuff, and so
season 2,
so like I think, which I was right, the show does a really good job at like, why don't I know how to phrase anything today? At like sexuality.
Yes.
Too.
I was gonna bring that up. Yep.
Yeah, like not just in terms of like
of like, love.
Yeah. That does. I was like, I don't remember how I'm phrasing anything. It's fine.
No, you're fine.
Like in general, because I think like they do a good job where it's not like she should feel ashamed for it, because like her therapist is like, I think it's just like
yeah. I was just watching this episode actually.
It's a good episode.
It is a good episode, which is really interesting. Like, this is why this show is needed, because of like, people have these experiences and they don't know how to cope with these emotions when they come up, or these intrusive thoughts that show up in their brains. Like, I think it was really nice to see that. And the therapist was talking to Bertie about like, oh, this may be a way of coping with the experience that you had, and a way of, this is you being in control of that versus, what was happening to you before.
Yeah. Like, I think it does a good job, again, like, coping mechanism, because even now again I'm like, oh wait, like again, like with Tuca's whole thing of like the car crash videos to cheer her up. Like I think the show does a good job of that, and then also like not kink shaming.
Facts. Yeah,
because like same episodes like where Speckle's like, I really really like bakers, and you're like, this is a mess.
Speckle. But Slay. Love him. I think, I mean, that too. Like, the communication at the end. Yeah. Bertie and Speckle talk about it, and they're okay with it.
Yeah. And there's always one episode in each season where it's just dedicated to, like, sexuality and sex and, like, communication. I think that's, like, very cool. I like when I watch a show and I'm like, there's a specific type of episode coming up that happens every season. It's like the show Love Victor. Every season there's like an episode where they go away, like from like the town, Then there's an episode, there's like a gay bar episode. And then, what's the third one? There's like 3 types of episodes that always show up in Love Victor. And it's always funny because I always wait there and I wait for it.
Oh
and
my
I'm
god.
like, they did the thing.
There it is.
Yeah, but I think it's important too. Because again, they're women in their 30s too. And I don't think like, if the show like didn't touch upon it, like it wouldn't be like, it's not weird. It's like, it makes sense for the show itself. Because it's not like, because it can be comedic, right? But it's also like, they treat it like kind of as like a serious like subject too. And I think that they do a good job of like balancing everything. But yeah, I think that the show, like touching upon, again, like sexuality in a sense of like, not like, in sense of lust.
Yeah.
And like,
dealing with like sexual trauma.
Yeah. I think it's good that they like touched upon that. Like, yes, like with the trauma and also without trauma too. I think it was very important.
Right. So the both and. Are we seeing a theme here, y'all?
Wow.
We're getting it.
We shook hands again.
We should have a tally mark every time we shake hands
think that's
in
the
person.
The fourth time.
Love.
Last recording session, we just stared at each other.
Staring contest. That's the rest of the episode.
This time we just keep shaking each other's hands. Just like...
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that was cool. And
Yeah.
then I realized we were originally talking about characters. I don't care anymore. I fuck Pastry Pete. I don't like him.
Moving on to Kara.
Oh, I was gonna...
sorry.
Actually, this is a good segue to it either way. So,
okay.
Yeah, so Kara is Tuca's part. Wait, no, we have to still talk about Pastry Pete because he shows up again. Like in later seasons.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
he's
he's a
basically
boo.
just like a constant.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, okay, so I forgot what season 2 was like, but basically like he gets another apprentice and stuff, and like he's still like supported, you know, even though he's been like now called out for being like super problematic and stuff. And about like the essaying and stuff. And you know that in a male dominated world that we live in, like it's not surprising, but it's still disappointing of like the theme of like the fact that, you know, men being shitty people still aren't able to like hold themselves accountable, and they're still able to still have this platform and pedestal up against them. Yeah. Because, you know, of people defending him basically.
Yeah, I also think with the new like assistant, like the whole thing where like she was like, why didn't you went to Bertie specifically? It's like first season. And she's like, why didn't you tell me? Because that was like the other thing too.
Yeah.
That like I thought it was good that they included. And like I think one, because it reminds us like these aren't perfect people. Right. And like these things do happen. Not like the way he phrased it was like, I don't like the way he phrased it. Like it will continue to happen until the person is like held accountable. But the thing is, sometimes the public won't hold the person accountable. Right. Like I just didn't like the way I said these things do happen, because I don't like how blasé the phrase is.
Yeah, no.
For like a topic like this, personally.
It's a really complex topic to talk about. Especially for a show like this where it does like handle all of that.
Yeah, it's like I think for me it's just hard for me to like verbalize.
Oh, for sure.
How I like how they handled it at certain points.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way I could really describe it.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm the same way, because it's like, for me, sometimes I have a hard time coming up with the vocabulary to like discuss topics like this. That's why, because of the fact there's a lack of representation of that. And I feel like we're just now like opening up to the conversation about having the like vocabulary and dialogue to talk about it. I guess. Yeah.
Because like I think too, because at this point of the season, like we didn't know what happened at Jelly Lakes too. So like
it's just kind of implied.
Yeah, it's implied, and then also I feel like it makes the audience feel more harsh towards Bertie. But like hindsight's 2020, so like now when I watch it, it's like it makes sense why she like might not. I think at that point also she like processed it, but didn't fully process it yet too.
Right.
So I don't know. I think like it's not a double-edged sword. Like I don't know how to exactly describe it.
Like it's a process of like it's an ongoing process, and also like are you also trying to say that there are like complexities within this like whole theme because of the fact that it also there are like different complexities of like, you know, living under toxic masculinity and the patriarchy, because it also pits woman against woman too.
I think so.
I don't know.
Like there's one part of it, but it's also like I think because too since we don't have these discussions until like what, like 2012, like in depth, like fully in depth. Like I think that's why too. I mean, like, because granted, in 2012 I was 11,
right?
So like I wouldn't have been able to have like a proper conversation about either way. I think
because we were all still kids.
Yeah, but like even then, it's like I think too, with like the language used towards victims, sometimes it gets like too harsh, or like even sometimes, or like it, like I think sometimes we lack like certain nuances when talking about like sexual assault and stuff. Like I think that's what I'm getting at. Like there's nuances to it, or like at least to like how the episode is like framed for like for Bertie to talk to like the new hire too. I think that's what I was saying, because then even then you can argue like there's like a third like bird working at with Pastry Pete, because then you also like, why didn't she say anything, like, but then you're like, well, there's nuances, and then also like you don't know like full stories of all the workers either.
Right, exactly.
Like, I think that's what I was gonna just like there's like certain nuances to it, and like the show like is trying to make you understand that.
Right. Yeah. No, exactly. I think too it's also they're trying to combat the fact that like these experiences aren't linear. Like there isn't a specific path, or like you're in this stage now, and stuff like that. Like it also reminds me of like one of the another minor character, Winter Chef Garcia, that shows up like in the third season as like, you know, Bertie's new like job as like a baker. Like she kind of like, you know, puts a pause on like making her own bakery and works under this new like baker who's a woman and stuff like that. But she also has flaws. She's like, you know, she ends up kind of like still upholding like ideals of like misogyny. For example, like she like thinks, you know, of this new generation of with Bertie, that they're being too soft, or being like quote unquote like snowflakes or whatever.
Yeah, I think with that too, that's just like a weird like generational like ageism thing.
Oh, for sure, yeah, like, definitely. Which is really surprising to think about too, is since, you know, Tuca and Bertie are in their 30s. Like it's interesting. It's not surprising, but it's interesting to continue to see women in different generations like have different ideals of that.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, I mean, I interact with people of like the same generation, like either of my own or older, because like younger generation of me, they're babies. Or they're my cousins.
Yeah.
And usually me and my cousins have like a baseline understanding of things. But I think it's also just because like generational stuff, it's like you go through different struggles, right? So like I think with our generation, our main struggle right now is like we're trying to get equity for many different types of groups all at once.
Yeah.
And I think like especially like intersectionality has been like a big talk of things too. This is like not like directly off topic, it's just more so like anecdotal, like personally. But yeah, no, like in Tuca and Bertie, because like Chef Winter Garcia is like a few decades older, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Than Bertie. We don't like we just have like a rough idea.
Yeah.
Based on design. But I think too with that, it's like I think with the context of that, and then also like Winter Garcia like being a woman, like she would have to have done like it would have been more difficult for her when she was coming up. I think that's why also there's like sometimes a generational divide, because it's like you forget that like your own generation had to go through hurdles, so then the next one doesn't have to go through those hurdles.
Right.
So even then sometimes you just forget. Right? Because I'm like, I bet like when I'm like 50, right? And I see like 20-year-olds like during that time, I'm gonna be just like, I'll probably see some like why are they like that? Right?
Why are they who they are?
Yeah, like I'll probably say something like that. Like I don't think it's like inevitable.
Right.
Right? Like I even make fun of my younger cousin. I'm like, oh, these babies don't know nothing.
Right.
About I hate that's gonna say Motor City because no one knows about Motor City.
I do. I actually remember that one.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Thank you.
Of course. I just need to watch it.
I'll try to find a pirating site.
Thank you.
Disney Plus is still not put it on Disney. Well, Disney has not put it on Disney Plus. Please.
They really do. Come on, Disney.
For me,
Disney Plus supporting person, if you're hearing this, please put on Motor City or else.
Only for me.
For Shay.
I can give you my account information.
That's our account, Shay.
Our account. I pay for it.
You're so right, though. Actually, you're so right. You're so right. You take that. Yeah. You take that, queen.
I need to change the email. But yeah, no, I think like with the generational divide, because of course it's like it sucks that she is still like talking and working with Pastry Pete, but then it's like, yeah, it's also like maybe that's what she knows.
Yeah.
To do, because like, okay, like in her, like with celebrities, right? Because like a lot of them, like of course, like get exposed for like shitty things, whether it's like sexual assault or like general like abuse or like. Because there's no celebrities supporting those celebrities, right? And then, like, especially with, like, older celebrities, too. Like, it's like I've, like, Bill Cosby conversations, like, with people who are older than me are, like, slightly different than ones with people, like, who are my age. Because people my age are, like, yes, he should be in jail and rotting and, like, everything, but then like with older generations, because he's like such like a big like his like he made history on TV and stuff, it's like kind of different and everything. Like it's like a like what the initial representation of that is. This is a very weird tangent. I guess.
No, it's fine. I think it still relates to it because it's like each generation is different and has some different like level of respect when it comes to people, I guess.
Yeah, because like yeah, again, I feel like when we're older, it's gonna be a celebrity that we love, right? Who does like worst thing possible that comes out when they're older. I mean, I don't think it's gonna happen like as frequently because nowadays people just like go through everything.
Yeah,
and then we find out stuff like more like easily now.
So love social media and the internet.
So I don't think it would be as prominent. Or like I don't believe it would be as prominent because we'll probably get all of that out like now.
Right.
But, like, there probably will be a point where, like, we have to face that, is what I'm saying.
Right. I feel like now that people are more, you know, not obligated but more brave to speak up with like experiences like that,
Mm.
we're obviously not in the perfect like spot,
Yeah.
but like we're now like being more acknowledgeable and being aware that people should be held accountable for those shitty actions.
Yeah. Like, and that's why I think with, like, Winter Garcia, like, I'm not angry at her when I see, like, I'm disappointed in her.
Real.
Like, obviously. But, like, I think about a lot of stuff, and also she gives a speech to Bertie about it too. I'm like, yeah, no, that makes sense. I think there's also, when people watch things, a character can do shitty things, right? But, like, I think the thing is that people forget is that a character is a character. They're not supposed to be a good person all the time, unless if that's supposed to be, like, their primary trait. And even then, that becomes, like, not interesting.
No.
Like, you want to see someone with flaws because humans are, like, inherently just, like, flawed in general.
That's writing 101.
Yeah.
Fictional writing 101.
Give your character a flaw. Like, they could be perfect, but I don't know, make them
not perfect.
Yeah, make them have stinky feet or something. I don't know. Like, it's
the flaw.
Like, of course, like, for comedic stuff, it's, like, different. Like, with making characters at times. But, like, Tuca and Bertie, while still a comedy, it's, like, a dramedy, if anything.
Oh, for sure.
So, like, the characters still need to have flaws, and it's up to you, like, how you want to justify those flaws, and also if you want them to kind of, like, because some things aren't, like, really flaws, it's just, like, inherent to being. Like, some people say, like, Bertie being anxious is a flaw. Like, I wouldn't say it's a flaw necessarily, but, like, it can lead to some of, like, her faults in the show.
Right.
Right? Like, I think Winter Garcia, like, it's, like, again, I think it's more commentary of, like, a generational thing. And so that generational, like, arc leads to a flaw in her character. That's what I'm saying. I think she's a very compelling character. I wish we got to see more of her, but we can't because the show got canceled. Again.
Correct. Another thing we'll talk about soon.
We keep saying
that.
Like, this thing's not going to be, like, 2 hours.
The next
again.
hour. Next 2 hours. I'm sick. No, it's fine. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Moving on to Kara.
So, I like this arc a lot. Even though it makes me really sad.
Oh.
Yeah. So did you want to explain who?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine. So Kara is one of the nurses in the hospital where Tuca's aunt, Auntie Tallulah, is currently residing in the hospital. Yeah. And so that's how Tuca and Kara, her name, it's so similar to Karen. Like, I want to say Karen.
I say Kara. I know that's not how you're supposed to pronounce it. I watch a lot of Australian TV.
That's fair. Bluey.
No, Dance Academy.
That was the next one. But basically, the two form, like, a relationship with each other, and they both definitely get, like, intimate. However, that leads Tuca into a very, like, bad toxic relationship where Kara becomes, like, too possessive over Tuca and kind of, like, overtakes her into a very, like, not, like, physically abusive relationship,
but it's, like, more emotionally.
But emotionally, yeah, exactly.
Because it's one thing I found interesting. I just thought about it. So, like, season 1, we talked about, like, Tuca's fear was, like, Bertie just wouldn't, like, talk to her anymore because of her relationship with Speckle. And I find interesting that season 2, that's what happened, but in, like, opposite direction. But not because of, like, she, like, of course, like, Tuca loves, like, Kara, but it's not because it's, like, a mutual thing. It's just because Kara's like, well, if you loved me, you would be here right now. I thought it was just, like, thinking about, like, that. The parallels. There's a lot of parallels in this show, and I'm just realizing it as we're talking about this.
I love animation. I love
animation. I love coming with no notes and be like, wait a minute.
I mean, I feel like that's the best part of, like, talking, like, having this conversation like
Yeah, I
this.
feel like since we've been in person, we've just been like getting very deep with things.
No, really, I love
and
that for us.
Talking for 2 hours.
Season 3 is our like journey era, like
Yeah.
our deep emotional journey era.
Yeah, I think it also makes up for the fact that it's going to be once a month.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're
Y'all get the
welcome.
best content for season 3.
Yeah. But no, I find that very interesting. And I think also, like, okay, I'm going to say a bunch of things about this arc because one, it starts in my favorite episode of Tuca and Bertie of all time, which is like the night friend one.
Oh my gosh, yes. That one's so good.
So, more facts about me as a person. I love settings. Like, I just love late night. Not like partying. I hate loud music. But I love the feeling of like late night and just like hanging out with friends, like just in general. And like I just like the darkness of night and everything. And so I like media like that, right? Because like my favorite, like one of my favorite movies is like Night is Short, Walk On Girl, and the whole premise is like this one night, but it feels like 3 different nights.
Ooh.
Yeah. I love that movie. So this episode is literally just Tuca can't sleep because I think she's insomnia.
Yeah, I think so. It's like implied. I don't think it's like really said.
Yeah, she either has or she just hasn't been sleeping well recently. So she'll just like get up and walk, and then she'll like visit her aunt at like the hospital, and everything. And like, it's such one beautiful episode because the whole show looks good. We haven't really talked about like the visual specifically.
It's so good.
I'm sorry, this is gonna be a visual tangent.
No, you're fine.
The visuals of the show are really good. They're bright and colorful, and again, feels very Lisa Hannawalt. I realize I should have looked at how to say it.
No, same, because I've been pronouncing it as Hannawalt.
Yeah, I do a lot of ha. Like, I do ah a lot, I realize. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. We love you, Lisa.
Yeah, it's very bright and color. It's like tropical.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, very summery. Like, even like the non-summery episode. Like, there's only like one like that, which is like the fall one. And even then, I was like, this feels very summery.
Yeah, definitely.
Which, like, makes sense because, like, Tuca's a toucan.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's like, that's a tropical bird.
Yeah.
But, like, not all the birds are. I don't know. It's just, it feels nice. I like that everything's kind of wonky. I like that, like, the trains are snakes.
So cool. Yeah.
I like that. I like that there were boobs on the building before it went on Adult Swim. Because the show used to be on Netflix so they could get away with stuff like that, but now they can't.
Sad. We'll talk about it soon.
When is soon?
We'll just talk about it soon.
Yeah.
This is the 4th time I said this in this episode. Or 3rd.
I think it's the 4th.
Okay. Yeah.
But basically this night episode, they put that multiply blue layer on everything. But then they also said we're going to make it monochromatic though, so it's not like multiply layer. They said we're going to make this monochrome and pretty and beautiful, and I said slay.
Yes.
I love visuals. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
Oh, really?
But yeah, so it's literally just her walking at night, and then she meets Kara at the hospital because she's like a nurse.
Yeah.
And like, I like that the show makes you like Kara in the beginning too.
I know.
Because I was rooting for her.
I was too.
Because first thing, I was like, oh my god. Because beforehand it was the bus. Because we touched very briefly on it, but like in the show, like it's very casual representation in terms of like sexuality, in terms of like love sexuality. And so like there's, I think in season 2 there's a whole episode where Tuca has like a bus for like dating suitors.
Yeah.
And they're like of 2 different genders, of like all like of ages. Like I think there's like an old guy on there by accident, and so she just kicks him off.
Range. She said eliminated. Like she makes her own like reality TV show.
Yeah.
Like her Total Drama Island era. I love that.
Yeah, and so I really like the casual representation of that too.
For sure.
And so then with Kara too, it's like the first like relationship we see with Tuca that's like long term too.
Yeah.
And like again, I think they did very good with the manipulation tactics.
I also agree.
Because I was manipulated.
if we were manipulated, then it worked.
And I think that's effective writing.
Yeah. Writing 101. Having characters with flaws and manipulative characters
Manipulating
that
their audience. Manipulating your audience, and then they're also manipulated like your character.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah, because you're like just happy for Tuca, because at that point you kind of like already established like they already established she does want like a long-term relationship, but like she struggled with that. Mm-hmm. And so when she finally gets it, you're like, yeah,
finally. Like, I love that sexuality is very goodly like represented, mm-hmm. and also the fact that like Tuca's still finding a relationship in her 30s, and that's perfectly a normal thing to do. But I'm like, I want Tuca to be in a happy relationship.
Yeah, so like, if you haven't been listening to us just say this, well, Kara becomes very like possessive and manipulative, and like, again, this ties into like Tuca and Bertie's own like friendship too, where like I think there was like one night where Tuca's like really it was the night where she met Speckle, where like Tuca did the cup thing, and she's like, I think Bertie's like preventing her from finding a good relationship.
Yeah.
And then like Bertie finds out while Tuca is dating Kara, there's a lot of names going on. And so then Bertie starts to think that like, hey, maybe I should like leave them alone, despite her like Bertie was like flaked out on and everything. And she has every right to be like kind of concerned about the state of the relationship. And so I think, again, I like the parallels and like kind of a reminder from season 1 of like Tuca's own fears, and then seeing like her becoming the thing that she feared.
Yeah.
I find that very interesting. I don't know why I'm so comedic now. I was so serious for
this is the dramedy.
Yeah, this is the comedy arc. This is not funny though. Manipulation's not funny.
Play the clown music.
Shut up.
Anyways, I think, and you can obviously see it in the episode where like they go to I think it's the carnival, right?
Yeah,
some kind of
festival.
It's a
very much carnival, because there's like a Ferris wheel. Speckle was eating hot dogs.
Love that for him. Do nothing for us. Anyway, so mm-hmm. Besides her, like I said about like Tuca's design, it's very like she's very confident in her own skin, and she's mm-hmm. not afraid to show it.
Yeah.
But now she's in that like deeper relationship with Kara. Like she's now wearing like long sleeves and long pants, and like it's totally not her.
Yeah, and like even Bertie says like, this ain't you. She said, where are your shorts?
Yeah, where are they?
Because specifically in the show too, she's mentioned like, I don't like wearing pants because they make me feel so restricted. Mm-hmm. And then seeing that happen, you're like, okay, like,
right,
that's wrong. I also, this is like a general thing about you, I like the Tuca, you see the progression with her clothes actually, because of course like season 1 is like the tank top and the shorts and like the sneakers. Then like season 2, like she's still wearing that, but then like I think the carnival episode, like the last episode, she's wearing like the shirt and the pants. Oh. Mm-hmm. And then in season 3, she's wearing her tank top and shorts again, but she has a fanny pack now.
Wait, I kind of love that.
The show that she's like more responsible, but she's still her. And I love it.
I love that. I love little details like that. The show just, I love when it pays attention to detail.
Yeah, because also like if there's like a change to a character, they will mention it in the show. Mm-hmm. So like when Tuca in season 3, she gets the fanny pack. She's like, oh, I got this fanny pack that I have to like do. She's like, I have a job now.
Yeah,
so
she's responsible.
Yeah,
I love that for her.
But I like that it's just a small addition mm-hmm. to show like this is still the Tuca we know and love. It's just that she has progressed, like post Kara.
Yeah,
I almost said Kara.
Who knows at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I really love that. Like going back to that episode in the carnival, mm-hmm. I really like the sequence, and like speaking of like visuals, the visuals are so good. I love when intimate moments or like flashbacks mm-hmm. are like very distinctive mm-hmm. to each other. Like it's it's either just like, you know, a sequence for that's like multimedia, so for example like claymation or
Mhm.
like felt fabric like animation or
Yeah.
something like that, but with that specific sequence with, and it's just music, but
Mhm.
it's like it's dark like muted colors,
Mhm.
and it's like the whole sequence was basically Tuca's like emotional journey while dating Kara versus like being with Bertie,
Mhm.
because like in the beginning it's like you see like Tuca and Kara like dancing together, and you sense that like, oh, you know, this is a normal relationship, like how we felt like, you
Mhm.
know, throughout the season. And then like eventually as they continue to dance, like Tuca gets smaller and smaller,
Mhm.
and like, oh wait, even before that, like Tuca, like her dancing like shows a lot in her personality. Like
Yeah.
you see,
She's so
I think
yeah,
when
she
you
twerks.
she twerks, like
Yeah.
it zooms in onto your ass,
Mhm.
and I'm like, okay, love that for Tuca.
Yeah.
Yes, like she's like I said, she's confident in her own skin, and she's really not afraid to show it, and she's that outgoing. And then she gets smaller and smaller, but then like, you know, it, you know, transitions over to it's a really wonderful song too,
Mhm.
which I love. And then like when Tuca and Bertie like are together, like they're like dancing together because they're so in sync with one another.
Mm.
And I don't know, that's what makes them so like iconic and complement each other, which is so nice. I just love that sequence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember I was looking at some behind the scenes stuff like a while ago. And so I know the sequence was animated by Lisa herself. Yeah, so like and like she I think she broke it down like so of course of course it's like nail on the head like what you said about it and everything. But I remember she was saying like with cars she specifically chose like ballet moves
Oh
because it's
wow.
like
Yeah.
cars like more like prim and proper and so usually
Mhm.
people like associate that with ballerinas and
Yeah.
everything. And then of course like Tuca's is like twerking, which is like seen as like more unprofessional, quote unquote.
Right. Yeah.
And so like all of that and then like her and Birdie of course are dancing like the same dance. And
Mhm.
it's like I think it's sweet. I like Tuca and Birdie's use of multimedia a lot. I think in later season like season 2 and 3 they use it more,
Mhm.
which is cool because there's like that one gag where it's like Speckle and
The
and
bakery.
they're like, oh, let's make like what would our child look like for funsies. It's just an app. It's like a one-off gag, and they just
Oh
like
my.
smash their faces.
Oh my god.
What were you thinking of?
I was thinking of the baker when Speckle was trying to explain if he had his moments of like,
I know we keep gasping in things, even though I said Tuca and Bertie does not kink shame.
right?
It was just a wild like.
That was an episode.
It was just like the way it happened, like where he explained it. It's just more so the way it happened threw me off when I was watching. I think because it's like I mean it. Yeah, I think it's just the way it happened. I was like, oh, and then like in retrospect, you're like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's like a very fun retrospective like tidbit about him.
Yeah. I need to remind myself of that scene again because I don't think it's coming out for me.
Which scene?
The one that you were talking about.
Oh, I think it was like the same episode where Birdie was like talking to him about like the pastry Pete stuff, where she was like, I fantasize about pastry Pete when I'm in bed.
Huh.
And stuff. And then he's like, hey, no, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like she thought that he would hate her for it.
Right, yeah.
And he's like, no, that's fine. He's like, hey, like he's like, I have a thing for bakers.
Yeah.
And then she's like, what? And then he's like, okay, back like when I was
back then. No, wait, I was watching this episode this morning.
It's a good episode.
Yeah.
Like...
Well, did the child thing also happen in that episode, or were you talking about something else? That's what
you're talking about like when he was talking about like his family, like the family friend was a baker, right?
Yeah.
No, it's the same episode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the same episode because I think like an episode or two later they do like the flashback episode at the party, and so when Birdie mentions that she like does baking and then Speckle does like the face thing, then that helps like that's like, oh right, like
yeah,
that was like a previous
so
thing. I like their callbacks a lot in the show.
Yeah, me too.
But oh my god, what was I talking about?
A multimedia.
Oh yeah, I like the multimedia aspect of the show. And like I think like with the dance, like especially for Kara and Tuca, like that represents like representation. But yeah, I think like it was like a good like representation. I thought like using mixed media for that too was like good. 'Cause I think also mixed media and Tuca and Bertie like symbolizes to that like something's happening. So like I think with like more comedic uses of it, like I think it's fine. Like 'cause it's like still funny. Like the real little baby was funny. But I think like it like the way to use it for like flashbacks. Yeah, I think that with like multimedia and Tuca and Bertie, I think that like when it's I like it a lot more so in like sentimental moments versus a gag. I mean, I like it as a gag, obviously, but like I think it's also just because like all the prominent ones. So like the one where they talked about when Tuca's mom was dying, and then of course like the dance, and then like Speckle's like reflection is like why I think about like mixed media in Tuca and Bertie. Because like I enjoy it a lot, like outside of that, but I think like it's so like ingrained in my mind.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like it's a good transition between like the actual like the A and B plots, right?
Hmm.
And then it hits you with boom, here's this like very important like character moment. And I think it's an easy way of like, making sure the audience captures that as
Hmm.
like one of the biggest highlights of that episode.
Yeah. Like I know we've been talking about art direction a lot. um, but I think like again, show just feels very much like Lisa's mind and like her previous works and stuff. That like I think it's neat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. For context, I've been saying the same sentence for the past like hour because so much stuff has happened.
No, you're fine.
But like, but I yeah, no, I like that part of it and I'm glad that they chose like the dance to kind of represent the struggle between Tuca and like her feelings with Kara and like Birdie and like her support system. I don't know. I just like that.
Yeah, me too. We love a good support system, and I think that's what this show at its core like is, or like does a good job at.
Mm.
Um,
Speaking of support systems, Figgy.
Figgy, our boy Figgy.
I love Figgy, and I almost cried watching season 3.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So season 3, this is like another opening of season 3, because like it's like a time skip again for each season. Season 3, we're introduced to Figgy, who is a literal fig tree, which isn't that weird because there's been plants
Yeah.
before, but we haven't seen the actual tree now I think about it. We've just seen sprouts
Yeah.
and like leafy, like well, no duh, but like plants that are primarily leaves and like green stems. So Figgy is Tuca's new their boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yes.
The beginning, yeah. And so, and turns out he's actually a nice person.
Real. They meet at like I think sexual assault like awareness intervention or like some
Yeah,
kind of like intervention training.
because he was teaching it,
Yeah. He's the teacher.
and then they hooked up. And I
Love
was
that for them.
like, again, I like how the show can like balance humor with like these really
Yeah.
it's like so absurd because the whole running joke is like them they're like, oh wait, isn't this like a power imbalance? They're like,
It's fine.
but
They're aware.
yeah, they're like very aware of it, and I think it's very funny.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the thing that is very interesting about their dynamic is that in this instance, Tuca has to be not like the caretaker for him, but like Figgy's like suffering from like alcoholism, which is something she's suffered with. So it's like she has to like try to help him out of that, despite him not really wanting that help and not like trying to actively improve in the beginning, right? Because again, like Figgy's not like Kara, where like he's not like emotionally abusive. He's actually like a really decent guy. It's just that
Right.
he has like an alcohol problem. Like that's the whole thing about it. And I thought like for Tuca, who's been sober for like a decade, I think, by this time. Like it's a very very interesting plot point to put her in. And like I think also like her like coming to face like that, and also and it's not like she never was the voice of reason in show, but like the one where like she's very directly the voice of like reason and like actively, because I mean throughout the show we always see her like actively help people, but I think also like post Kara and then also post like her aunt Tallulah, because her aunt Tallulah like always want her to sneak alcohol to her in the thing. I think like it's also to show like Tuca's like assertiveness also, and also like again reinstate like she cares about the people that she wants them to get better, right? I like the arc a lot. I like a lot of these arcs.
Yeah, no, we love. Yeah, like I think Tuca has always just been this like, she has such a like good trait of like helping others kind of like become their best selves when that sometimes may be like her flaw, that she doesn't like focus on being like her best self sometimes, but I like seeing this like kind of like arc evolve throughout the seasons. It's really good like development seeing that, because like at first like she even from the first season she's like she doesn't want to mooch money off of like Aunt Lila because like she's like rich and stuff like that. Um
She has like a sense of pride,
yeah.
but it's not like, again, it's not like a negative trait
It's not, no.
about her, because like it's, yeah, she has like a sense of pride, but also she sometimes has like a hard time standing up for herself too because of that,
Right, yeah.
or like actively trying to help herself.
Mhm.
Like she's a very selfless character
Right, exactly.
too, which again I like that they went that direction with her, versus like them like trying to form as being selfish,
Right,
in a
yeah.
sense. Because yeah, it's just more so, again, I just like the way that they write the characters, because you always think that they're gonna fall into like very specific like archetypes, but then they like deviate from them enough to do so. And I keep saying it, I just think it's neat. I just really like the writing of the show.
For sure. Also agree. Honestly, when it was like revealed that Figgy had an alcoholism like problem, I was like, no, I don't want this for Tuca. Okay.
Yeah, no, because also the way it's revealed, it's not like, it's very like dark and like it's a scary moment too, because like when we find out he's like at the lowest of it too, because his like leaves are wilting off, he's literally like soaking in a bath of like alcohol at his feet, and so it's like, it's not just like, oh, he has like a light alcoholism problem, it's like, oh no, it's like really bad. It's just like he's like like I think it's functioning alcoholism.
Yeah.
Like it's a specific type, so it's not like he's showing up to work drunk, but it's like if he's at his house, it's like a whole thing. And then even then, it's like he has like a sense of pride also, but like it's not necessarily treated as like a good thing. I think also it's just very interesting.
Yeah.
Because like even when Tuca was like, hey, I don't think you should drink at like this wedding, I'm going dry, so I think you should should go dry because she doesn't like when people drink in front of her. But he's still like, look, I'm still gonna drink though. Like I won't drink in front of you, but I will drink it. I think I don't know. I keep repeating myself.
No, you're fine. I think I know where you're going. I'm like, I'm also like thinking and trying to like figure out like how to contribute to this as well because it's been a hot minute. I think I really because it was at the reception, right? The wedding reception, right?
Yeah.
He was drinking then, right?
Yeah, because also because the way he explains it, he was like, when you see like people, I just see the drinks in their hands.
I love the visuals in that.
Yeah,
it's so good.
But then like he just saw Tuca and like the thing of drinks also, and it was like,
yes, development.
It was development, and that was like the last episode of the series, too.
I think it was the episode before the last because the last episode is when Tuca gets a really bad cramp and then they go inside her uterus.
Which again, I think
specifically Bertie. and a mole voiced by Greg Universe from Steven Universe.
You know he's in the same band as the guy who plays Bandit in Bluey, right?
I thought that was a joke.
I thought it was real.
Goodbye, Shay.
Okay.
Well, we'll see who's right when we look it up.
Okay, thank you for watching 1224 Podcast. I'm Shay. I've been fired.
Wait, no. It's okay. We can fact check that later.
Yeah. But that was the second to last. I was just thinking about like Figgy's appearance wise with Speckle. That's why I was like, because Speckle's like, oh, you're such a cool guy.
Yeah.
And then Vicky's like, please get away from me, you're so scary.
I love the dynamic. I wish we had more.
Yeah, I think I do. Speaking of more parallels, like, because you know how, like, because Vicky was helping Tuca too throughout everything too.
Right.
So it was Stan Figgy one.
Real.
But it's also like the fact that Tuca just wanted to care for him, like he cares for her, I think too, like makes it more like sad of how, like, I mean, he gets better in the end, which is nice, and they like resolve their issues, but they're on that break for like a little bit. It's like just kind of sad because like Tuca was upset, and then like you as the audience like grew to like Figgy a lot, despite him only being like 5 episodes at that point, I think.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't like saying I like this thing a lot. I like to be eloquent.
No, it's okay. I think there's an importance to like just saying I like this.
Yeah, I just think I've said it a bunch of times in the past, like our time isn't accurate, but like the past like I don't know, like
almost 2 hours and 13 minutes.
Yeah, so I've been saying this for 13 minutes, 100%. But I don't know, I'm glad that Figgy was introduced, especially after Kara. And then I also like, even when Kara shows up again, I think is he there?
Yeah, he's there. It's during the wedding reception because she's there too. And I think Figgy's ex is with like Kara. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. Something like that.
There's a lot of exes in that episode.
I know.
Because like all Speckle's exes were there.
Yeah.
And then like Bertie's like freaking out about it. And like this is like during the Speckle, like no one's asking me how I am about
the Speckle spiral.
The Speckle spiral was really sad to watch also. I was like,
points for me for coming up with that.
Yeah, the Speckle spiral, because I think he lost his job or like he found
out
his
fired.
Yeah, because the building.
Yeah, because he shit on the building.
Yeah. But it's also because he didn't want it to like go to like rich people. Yeah. Because he has morals.
He does.
Yeah, because again, another theme of the show is like gentrification, especially in season 2 and season 3. And sorry to like go back to art and stuff. I well, not just art, I like the location a lot of the show because I like that's inner city. Because like I like because it reminds me of my own like town, like where I grew
Aw.
up. So like I'm very fond of like shows where they have like the brick buildings and like they're very close knit and they live in apartments and everything. So I really like Hey Arnold. I really liked Little Bill growing up because I was like, this reminds me of like my own house and like
Mm.
where I live and like the like the vibrancy of culture and everything too.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy that about the show and I'm glad that they touched upon gentrification in like the moss
Oh, the Moss, yeah.
allegory.
Mhm.
I don't know, I really liked it.
I also really like that too.
Hmm.
That's it. I like when they, yeah,
I like when they do the
the
thing.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
they touch points on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like there's just like a bunch of like the wedding was a lot of exes, a lot of characters coming to realizations.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was good for everyone.
Yeah, good for them.
Because at that point everyone was just struggling in that show and I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god.
Please, guys. Everybody has trauma in that show.
Like I was saying, like I think it was like like not the first time, it was like the very first time where like all three of the main characters just going through it in some way. It's like Speckle finally got his little arc and you're
Yeah.
like, damn.
I know. I feel like every season it's like, okay, one person has one, then another has one, and then another has one.
Mhm.
But now, like, it obviously all three of them are like struggling
Yeah.
now. Season 3.
Yeah, because like if you wanted to dedicate a season to each character, like I would say season 1's Bertie.
Yeah.
Season 2's like season 2 and 3 are Tuca, but like season
Yeah.
2 especially.
Mhm.
But season 3 is just Speckle.
Speckle. The Speckle spiral for season 3.
But I think that's all I want to say about Figgy because it's just gonna be me saying I like Figgy. I just feel so sad.
No, it's fine because I did warm up to Figgy once I realized, oh, he's not that bad of a guy. He just has an alcohol problem.
Yeah.
Like it's like it doesn't his like it doesn't necessarily like overlap with his like other like traits that make him likable.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
Yeah, it's just more so like the show treats it more as like a hurdle that him and Tuca need to face. In a sense, like they don't necessarily have to face it together, but it's like Tuca wants to face it together, and like it's like a push and pull type thing. And I think it's good that like they didn't equate like his likability or like even his dislikability because of like the alcohol problem. Because again, at the end of the day, he's just a person who has like a struggle.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And I think yeah, I mean that made me realize how like there are different like levels or there's like a spectrum to like substance abuse.
Mhm.
I feel like because like when people like think of like alcohol and drugs, they're like, boo, bad, don't do that.
Yeah.
And like there's this like sense of like shame for that when, you know, people may just be like really struggling and not finding that right like support or help for that. Like people don't really understand it the like complexities of that because of this like high stigma of like just drugs in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because I think, especially with like media too, it's either you glorify it or you equate like the substance with the person. I've noticed. And so I'm just glad that the show didn't do that. It's like more separate. Because also, like, the show never says like alcohol bad.
Boo.
Yeah, because like
Yeah.
characters are shown drinking. It's just more so like controlling your consumption and like over reliance, like and stuff.
Right.
So I think it was good
Yeah.
that they made this character because also again like he's a good person, and especially like after like season 2 with like Kara, I think it was good that like they showed Tuca again. I mean, I was like apprehensive at first. I was like, this feels too quick. But then I remember like they are technically following our time in terms of like the gap in the season. It's been like a year for them, or like half a year, I think, or something. So of course stuff would happen in between then. So I thought I like that. I was like, okay.
We're following like kind of like the same timeline.
Yeah, because they also like established like, okay, this like the city's not like it's still flooded, but like it's not like they've worked around it by now,
right?
And everything.
Exactly.
But yeah,
that's Figgy.
That's Figgy. Did you want to move on to any specific topic?
Was there anything we wanted to add about like the art, animation, art direction?
We've mentioned it a few times. Well, I mentioned it. So again, I've mentioned like I like the setting of it. I like the colors. It's very fun. It's very funky. It's very fresh.
It's very vibrant.
Yeah. It's like, I know I also mentioned this, but like season 1, especially, they utilize like boob imagery a lot.
Yes.
Because they're on Netflix, so they kind of get away with more. But then the show got canceled.
On Netflix.
And then came back on Adult Swim, so they couldn't do that since they're on like actual TV.
Yep.
Now, I mean, that's like the major thing. Do you want to talk about the tumultuous cancelings? Multiple cancelings of Tuca and Bertie.
Yeah, we can. I mean, it's kind of actually related to it in a way, but like just kind of adding on to the art, like it's just really pretty and cute. Yeah. Like just coming from like an audience standpoint who doesn't necessarily have like a full artistic lens on things. Like it's just really nice to see more adult shows have that kind of look, because usually like I guess Western like adult shows are more like gross out, like not ugly, but like very, I don't know. I think something about it feels male centric. Or
I mean, a lot of stories are.
Yeah.
I was gonna say sterile. Sterile.
What's that mean?
Like too clean.
I think.
And stiff.
Yeah, I think so. Right.
Yeah, I mean, like, of course, like some show. I'm sorry. Every time I think about like specific adult animation, I think about Family Guy. Because Family Guy's art direction is not my favorite. Because that show feels very sterile, but like I know like what they do in that show is very different to approach of Tuca and Bertie. Not just in terms of like art style, but also just like the structure of the show. Because Family Guy's supposed to be imitating like old like multi-camera like comedies and stuff. So like I understand what they're doing, but Tuca and Bertie, despite it being, I think it's rigged animation, because most shows are rigged now.
Yeah,
If it's not, I wouldn't be surprised. But from my little dumb eyes, it looks like it's rigged. Because like because some characters are like really detailed, and like drawing it over and over would be like a little too much.
Right. But,
yeah. No, I think like the best way to describe Tuca and Bertie, I mean, I've said this, it's like a quilt. And a weird, like, where everything's just kind of like, it feels very different, but it's very like cohesive. And it's like chaos. And I think that makes sense for the characters.
Yeah.
Also, because they're very like cohesive in their chaos. And yeah, so I think like it sets itself apart from like other shows too, because it's not like using like a more like muted color palette. It's very much like they use bright colors, and like they use like not even just like bright, they use like full saturation colors, which can be a lot for the eyes at times. But like the way that they do it, it works. It's especially like prominent in like the intro, I think, where they use like those really, really bright colors.
Yes. Yeah, true.
Yeah, but in the show, like, I mean, it's like a little bit muted so that it doesn't hurt, but still like very vibrant, very like beautiful. I also like the progression of like the backgrounds in their apartment. Like after like the flood thing, there's like cracks.
Oh my god,
and then there's like moss in their apartment.
Oh, moss.
Yeah. But yeah.
Good thing the flood came.
Yeah.
And flooded away the moss.
Man, everything got damaged.
That too.
Yeah.
Not a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the intro.
Mm-hmm.
The intro's so good. I wish the boobs were still there in the beginning. It's so.
I miss the boobs.
Yeah.
I miss the little dance that changed every episode.
Yeah, like the dance transitions. Yeah.
So for context, the Adult Swim intro cuts off like the very beginning with the boob building.
Yeah.
And then
sad.
Also, since Adult Swim does shortened intros for everything, they also shorten the intro so we won't see like the little dance that they do, like that changed every episode. So like if you watch the first season on Netflix, you'll see the boob building, and then you'll also see like them dancing, and the dance changes every episode if you don't skip the intro. But now it's gone.
It's gone.
I think it's also gone on HBO Max too, from what I remember.
It's still on
The dancing.
The dance. Oh no, yeah, no, it's it's gone. Never mind. Yeah,
because I've been watching on HBO Max.
Yeah, same.
And she's also gone.
I miss it.
I miss her.
Yeah, I rewatched season 1 and I was like, oh my gosh, I miss these little fun dance sequences. It reminds me of like sitcoms.
Yeah, I like the song because it's just like it's like a very like salsa inspired song. I think
the theme, the intro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's just them saying their names the whole time.
I know. Tuca and Bertie. Tuca and Bertie.
Tuca and Bertie.
Bertie and Tuca. So good.
And then Speckle just shows up with the funny. Because he looks so wonky in the intro. I love him. He just like.
They're like squawking. They're like and then they push Speckle.
And then they go to the movie.
Yes. And then they sit down.
And then they're watching the episode. They're watching their trauma unfold.
And that's how the episode starts.
Yeah, I miss it.
Good. I miss it too. Oh man. It's such a good intro. It's one of those intros for me that I'm like I'll never skip, even if it was shortened from Adult Swim.
Like I would never skip it, but it's like sometimes I'm just not in the mood, so I just skip it. But then I rewind it later on.
Valid point. Yeah,
because I'm not an intro skipper usually.
Same. Yeah.
If I skip an intro, that means I hate the intro a lot.
The She-Ra intro.
You see, I was gonna be nice and not mention it, but yeah. But yeah, I wish.
Do we want to get into
Netflix? Am I right?
Yeah. Yes. There we go. So distribution, right? So Tuca and Bertie, obviously season 1 on Netflix. Then they got canceled, and now they were on Adult Swim for 2 seasons, 2 and 3. And then they got canceled recently as of last October.
Yeah. Which sucks.
Yeah.
Because the way the last episode of the 3rd season ends, there's still a lot up in the air, but I think it was a good episode to be like a conclusion. So it's still like, damn.
Yeah.
But also like, okay, like, this is gonna be like the final episode. It makes sense because it's still like really crazy, like the Tuca and Bertie type crazy, because it's literally Bertie going into Tuca's uterus.
Yeah, love that episode.
And everything. So I think it was like a good final episode for the circumstances that they were in.
Yeah.
But like, it's not a good episode as like a series finale.
Oh, totally.
Like that's like its problem.
Yeah,
because I think they did think that they were gonna get season 4. From what I remember, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, apparently. So it was Lisa that sent out the statement, and I think she mentioned that it was because of like the merger with the Warner Bros. Discovery merger. Also, check out our first episode of the season about that. But that stinky Warner Bros. Discovery merger that was recently
So it wasn't like it stopped, but they weren't gonna merge like HBO Max and Discovery Plus anymore. So HBO Max is safe, but I think they're still gonna rename it to just Max.
Just Max.
Yeah.
Ew. Huh.
I don't know.
All that money wasted and those tax write-offs for what?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wish that the show, because like on Netflix, like I didn't feel like it was restricted on Netflix. But I think knowing, especially like with like the queer relationships we see in the show later on, I don't think Netflix would have let them do season 3 for some reason. Because if people don't know, Netflix isn't the best, especially for like with like their content, like their sapphic content and stuff. It's not the best in terms of like keeping it around for multiple seasons. And so with Tuca and Bertie, with both Tuca and Bertie being in relationships with women, like throughout the series, I don't think they would have let them do that. Just knowing their track record, I don't trust them.
No, I
Yeah.
agree. It's really frustrating to see stuff like that because it's like, what's the point of picking them up if you're just gonna like cancel them for like at least like one season?
Yeah.
And then like, what's the point? Like, are you just there to just like check a box? You know?
Because with Tuca and Bertie was originally on Netflix too. I think it's because a lot of the way they advertised it, they're like, oh, it's just like BoJack Horseman. Because Lisa was the main character designer for BoJack Horseman,
Right.
and so naturally the art styles are very similar. They follow different philosophies, though. I think Tuca and Bertie looks more like her art style than BoJack,
For sure.
but I think just the way they advertised it was not good because the show's not like there's similarities, but it's not BoJack in terms of like humor or tone.
Definitely not. No.
And then also like people are going and expecting BoJack, and I'm like, no, it's very different.
Yeah.
Also, the first few episodes of BoJack weren't the best either, so I don't know why we're expecting BoJack first, like immediately either.
Advertising and marketing is such a sneaky tactic.
I think I'm also just frustrated because it happens to a lot of like female centric media too.
For sure.
Because like of course Jennifer's Body, Josie and the Pussycats 2001. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Well, I'm just nodding.
I know, you're just like looking.
I know, it's your favorite movie.
Yeah, it's not like we're gonna watch it soon.
I can't wait.
I'm literally making everyone watch it for context.
Because it's their birthday coming up.
Yeah.
As we're recording this.
Yeah. By this time I'll be 22 by the time you listen to this.
Woo-hoo. Everybody leave in the comments happy birthday show.
Have I changed? Actually, no, leave in the Puss in Boots one happy birthday.
Oh, true. Yeah.
But you guys won't figure that out until March.
It's released. Yeah. Scheduling bad.
Yeah. Oh. But I just like, of course, I wish Netflix treated better, and I'm glad Adult Swim picked up because also I think Adult Swim needed that show, which is how their current lineup was too. Because I think I talked about this in like the HBO Max episode with like adult animation and like the lack of like main characters like within like marginalized identities as a whole. But like I think that's why Tuca and Bertie was so loved too, because we finally got that. And I mean, I'm glad that Adult Swim had like 2 seasons of it, and like we got the extra 20 episodes because that's
true.
That's more than I would have hoped. I just wish that like they had the opportunity to finish the story the way they wanted to. Okay, I think they said there's like 1 or 2 more seasons that she planned. Like I think that's the thing that sucks when shows get canceled without like knowledge of it, because you can tell like there was supposed to be more. Like Dead End got canceled like a few months ago, and like it ended on a cliffhanger also, I think that's what's just frustrating about it.
Yeah.
Like, you know that there was supposed to be more, but they didn't have time to, like, at least try to wrap everything up. Because even, like, OKKO, like, ended, like, kind of abruptly, but they still had a chance to, like, make an episode that, like, wrapped all the major stuff up. And even by that time, we had, like, a lot of stuff figured out, too, about the show. So, like, it didn't feel like we were missing anything by the end. Because with Tuca and Bertie, like, it ends in, like, I think a very, like, Tuca and Bertie way. I think it's a good, like, season finale. But, like, as a series finale, it's like there's too many unanswered things. Like, Speckle's still going through his thing. Like, Bertie is still going through her thing. Tuca, like, has that one arc settled, but she still has her thing with Figgy that needs to be, like, thing. Figgy and Speckle. What?
No, Figgy and Speckle, that needs to be a thing. We need that episode.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's really frustrating to, like, see that because, like, I know Netflix has that running track of, like, canceling shows immediately, and then, like, even when shows have the chance to be picked up by a different network or company, like, I'm just thinking of, like, One Day at a Time, for example, which is another like Netflix show, and it got picked up by Pop. Like, even then they got canceled afterwards in the other network, and it's really frustrating to see stuff like that. So I'm like, and especially seeing, like, when shows are, like, marginalized identity centered, it's like so frustrating.
Like, that's when it stings more. Because again, we've been talking about, like, Tuca and Bertie's about birds, but, like, the fact that the whole cast and a lot of the crew are, like, people of color and queer people specifically.
Facts, yeah.
It feels kind of like
very targeting. Yeah. I think too, it's like, it's the way that specifically Tuca and Bertie is, like, overshadowed by, like, male-centric shows such as BoJack Horseman. Like, everybody's always talking about that, but they're never, like, because I feel bad because, like, I remember, like, Lisa posting something about this, like, giveaway or something like that. Like, she's like, if you want me to draw anything like BoJack Horseman, I'll be happy to. But if it'll be really appreciated if I was able to draw anything Tuca and Bertie, but it's fine. And I'm like, I would love anything Tuca and Bertie if I won.
Yeah, she's better than me. I would have been like, please don't.
Yeah.
Like, for my own sanity.
She's brave for that. But also, like, it's for me, it feels very unfair to see stories like that canceled, and yet, like, fucking Rick and Morty is still going on with its, like, next season with its main creator gone.
Yeah, I think with Rick and Morty, it's more of a complicated. It's just more so, like, there is, like, cast and crew on there. Like, I think that's true.
Yeah, that's, like, fair. But also, well, the same with Tuca and Bertie. Right?
Yeah, no, like, no, I'm not saying, like, you're.
Oh yeah, no. I was just trying to, like, I think I was more so, like, questioning what the difference between that was.
Oh, so like, I think it's also, like, time for Shayla's nuance corner.
You're fine.
So, I think with, like, Tuca and Bertie, of course, there's, like, a bunch of factors. So, like, you could, like, so sexism, colorism, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Right? You can, like, argue all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And then with Rick and Morty, I think, also lasted a longer time than Tuca and Bertie, too.
Okay.
Because it was, like, a hit from, like, the jump.
Right.
Right? Because it's also going off of, like, a nostalgic, like, probably because the whole thing, it's like fucked up, like, Back to the Future.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I think it's, like, all the things that made Rick and Morty hit at the perfect time.
Right.
Because that came when we were middle school. And so
the reputation it has.
Yeah. Because also, like, it started off, like, good, and then, like, Adult Swim just kind of put too many of their eggs in that one basket.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, like, Rick and Morty kind of became, it's like, this is a weird, like, not a weird comparison, it's like modern day, it's like The Simpsons, in a sense, because Simpsons just became, like, this really big pop culture thing.
Yeah.
And Rick and Morty also became that, too. Because the whole thing Rick and Morty, it's like, you were like, oh, I think it's kind of like Family Guy, but then, like, didn't, and then, like, and then since it's such a long show, and it's been a while since Justin Roiland even worked in the writer's room, too.
Yeah.
Like, they could just axe him, and there won't be, like, any, like, big changes to that show versus, like, Voice. like voices. Because the similar thing happened with like Clarence on Cartoon Network, except much earlier on in production, like the first season, and then also 12 Forever. But then even then, that begs the question: why did 12 Forever get axed? But like, I mean, they're different companies, also, to be fair.
Right, yeah.
Because like Clarence and Rick and Morty are under the same company, but like 12 Forever is like Netflix, which also falls in the same problem.
Yeah, right.
And everything. So I don't know. I think the merger, especially too, like I don't know if just because like the cartoon communities that we're in, like don't like we talk about Tuca and Bertie and like shows that very focused, like heavily focused on like marginalized groups. So we think I don't know if it's like we think it's bigger than it is, like as a hit wise, or like it is a big hit. Like that's the thing. I'm like I just want to know sometimes.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, obviously, y'all, this is like out of like I wouldn't say theorizing because that sounds so unprofessional to say. I don't know. Like it. I don't know. We're just kind of like brainstorming.
Like theorizing. I think is like.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I think it's just because we're also just trying to find a reason for some of these cancellations, especially like if they're both critically and audience acclaimed.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, I don't know, it's just been happening so frequently too. And then also like this push for like more diverse media, but this is like the cancellations are happening more. It's like really frustrating.
Right.
I think that's what it is. Like, I appreciate crew and stuff. And like I appreciate when like I appreciate what crews do, and like people can't always like decide what they work on, right? Like it's just more so like usually if we're pointed or like frustrated about it, we're more so talk about executives, not so much the people on the show. Unless they're awful people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boo.
But
yeah.
That's really why, I think.
For sure. I think, obviously we don't know the answers to everything because we're not part of like the production or anything. Yeah. But like, it's interesting to talk about these because it's fun to just it's not fun because it sucks and these are actual people like with actual jobs working on this, as you see in the credits, after an episode. But I think it's interesting that there can be multiple layers behind it, and some of these like reasons can be like subconsciously probably from like just like the I guess diversity and inclusion aspect of it, or it could just be because of like it can't just be like one or the other. Yeah. Is what I'm trying to say, because it can be a multitude of reasons, but some of those reasons can be like subconscious in that way.
Yeah, I think it's also just too like again, there's such a push for diversity and inclusion in TV, and especially like for adult animation, it's getting better. But it's like I think it's also just the fact that kids TV is doing like such a much better job at it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Which is weird because adult animation should have those opportunities more easily available.
Agreed.
Because they don't have to like always sugarcoat things, or like they don't have to deal as much with censors. I mean, they still do, but it's just like
they have more
leeway with things.
Yeah.
And it's just frustrating when we can't like see those things happen, because like we're still so stuck on like the let's have a family of 5, like lower middle class family of 5 wacky shenanigan show, which like there's no problem with that. I like a lot of those shows.
Yes, we love you, Bob's Burgers.
I like Bob's Burgers. I like I like American Dad, right? This sounds like me saying I have friends or in this thing. So I don't think it. And I love The Simpsons. Like I love The Simpsons. But I'm just at a point where like, because even like nowadays too, like I'm gonna use Inside Job as an example.
Yeah. Like
you can argue that Inside Job is like a Rick and Morty-esque show. Like you can argue that, like in terms of like how it structures its humor, right? But like, I'm glad that they did it with like a diverse cast. Same thing with like the new Star Trek show and also Final Space. Like I like that, and I mean, I don't know the status of the new Star Trek show, but like I know Final Space and Inside Job got canceled, and it just sucks because I'm like, I thought we were making strides here.
I know, right? I think too. It's interesting you talk about Final Space and Inside Job because they're both kind of under like the sci-fi genre of like adult animation.
Yeah,
And it's like kind of like the stepping stones, kind of similar to like Rick and Morty.
mm-hmm.
And it's really, I feel like, and seeing both of those shows kind of have a more diverse, like, kind of have like a diverse cast in all kinds of forefronts. I mean, not just like characters and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but just like diverse stories, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm not specifically talking about like inclusivity,
Yeah,
but more of like just more refreshing things,
yeah,
from the genre itself.
yeah. No, I just think I wish, like, of course, there's shows that get canceled that don't have like like this that still have predominantly like white cast and like predominantly like straight and cis characters. Like obviously that get canceled after one season. Like that happens. It's just more so like it's just again frustrating when you see a trend from specific companies when they purposely like start canceling things. And like now I'm at a point where it's like even if it's a show that I'm not like this even if it's a show I'm not like passionate about, but like I see that they have like that inclusion, I will make strides to watch it at least because I want to let people know that I want this.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Please don't cancel things. This might be the only thing that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Like just stuff like that. Specifically for adult animation, it's been like I know it's a really big problem. Of course, for kids animation, it's been a problem, especially like with the weird tax write-off thing. But like, there's more strides in that, so I'm not as concerned.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also agree. Yeah. Do you think will ever see like some kind of like continuation of Tuca and Bertie?
I hope so.
I hope so too.
Like, I don't like. I know a lot of people saying, "Why don't they go to Comedy Central?" Like, I don't want them to jump companies again.
No.
Because like, because people were saying, "Well, they're airing BoJack Horseman on Comedy Central," which I don't like the idea of streaming shows going to TV because the commercial breaks are really wonky.
Yeah.
But I don't. Also, because I think Tuca and Bertie would fit on Comedy Central. I just don't want them to go to like a new platform again. That's the thing. So I like so basically as much as I want to see a continuation, I don't want there to be a continuation we cancel after one season or like 2 seasons again.
And jumping around.
Yeah, because also again, like I'm like I think I don't know how to phrase it. Like I think with how the story looked like it was getting planned out, it was literally gonna end in like a season or two, like by like Lisa's own word. So it wouldn't have gone on for that long, like after like if it got picked up again, unless they did like a longer season.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to see them again. I wouldn't mind like comics.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like if they return as comics, I would be like, oh yeah,
neat,
like great
content. Yeah.
Or like if we somehow get a Tuca and Bertie movie.
No, actually, that'd be so cool.
Tuca and Bertie movie. We get the boobs back.
We get the boobs back, please.
We get the dancing
boobs
back.
in theaters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shaking hands.
Again,
that was
fifth.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, I want a continuation, but I just don't think it would be feasible in any sense to do it. That's my perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I also agree with you on that. I would literally take anything at this point.
Yeah.
Even if it was just a piece of paper. Thank you, Lisa. But I honestly, like, I don't like when things get canceled when the creators like has like a set outline of how they want when they want to end it and how they want to end it. Mm-hmm. And it's sad. Like, I mean, that's the reality of things, obviously, in the industry itself, but it's like it still hurts. Like, the emotion is there, but like I honestly wouldn't like the idea of getting them picked up by Comedy Central. Like, honestly, is there ever a possibility for like Adult Swim to just do it, just like renew it again, or is that?
I mean, that is a possibility because they still own the rights to it, but and they weren't written off for taxes, so they could very easily do that. It's just the merger fucked everything up, I think.
Right.
So I don't know if the merger's preventing that from happening, because if it was specifically the merger was the reason, then like I don't know how they would try to do it. But like I mean, Samurai Jack got a new season like 10 years later.
That's true.
And
yeah.
Samurai Jack season 5 was good overall.
Yeah. Good overall. Smiley face.
I sound so I don't have issues with season 5. I just have issues with like one specific part of it. 2 specific parts of it, and that's
the list.
That's
it's
it.
Okay.
It's not like me and my dad waited our whole life. I waited my whole life. He waited 10 years of his life.
Yeah.
For it. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they picked it up again.
Yeah, same. I think that would be pretty neat. Adult Swim, please. I mean, I guess obviously the best thing we can just all do, like as we said, like in the first episode of this season, is to just like, keep talking about it and get some kind of traction with it. And obviously that's sometimes not enough, but it's better than nothing. I mean, I keep forgetting about Samurai Jack low-key. But it you'll never know. And I don't know, hopefully this whole trend of cancellations like die down and stuff like that with all these like tax write-offs and the economy that we live in.
Yeah, cancellations is the reason why I just have a set plan for whatever, like, if I ever want to make a show. Limited series.
Limited series. No, really.
So they can't tell me anything.
That's a smart move.
Is it? I don't know.
Well, I mean, if only most IPs were like that.
Yeah.
But yeah. We miss you, Tuca and Bertie.
Mm-hmm. Is that your final?
Yeah, that's my final say. I love Tuca and Bertie for what it is. I love that it's very woman-centric and queer-centric, and that, like, I don't know, it just made me feel seen in a lot of, like, in a lot of identities that I hold. Like, I feel seen in that show that not a lot of shows do. And it's a very special, weird, quirky show that I love and appreciate. So
same here.
Love.
Do
you have any final words, Shay?
I think Tuca and Bertie is a very, very vibrant show. I really like it. Me like Tuca and Bertie. I don't know. I said everything I needed to say.
Yes! Yes! That was good. You're welcome. Honestly, I would like a photo frame of Speckle. Specifically of that photo frame of Speckle in the show.
Okay, do you want to go to the printing center? Then, like,
that's so true. Wait,
what do you want me to do about this?
No, not you. I'm not asking you, Shay. If anybody from the Tuca and Bertie crew is listening, that is my request.
You don't have to send it?
Yeah, no, for fun. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
If they want to sign it, that's fine too.
Yeah, okay, sign it, but sign it Speckle. And you guys is...
You have to sign it like Speckle way? Like Speckle handwriting? Or like
they just write Speckle, but then I also put their name.
Oh, okay, yeah. That would be epic. Oh wait, get Steven Yeun too.
That man is on a movie set.
You're so right.
He has a family.
Okay, Steven Yeun is optional, but highly recommended. Everything is a joke. Wink. Anyways, if there isn't any other final words, that brings us to the end of our 1224 episode of Tuca and Bertie. We hope you all enjoyed listening to this episode. Feel free to leave a like, comment, or subscribe, whatever platform you're on right now, because we're literally everywhere. But yeah, if you're able to comment on your platform, feel free to leave a comment about your thoughts about the show itself and whether or not you have anything to contribute to our conversation that we had today. And
Yeah.
That's all for the 1224 podcast. I'm Kate.
I'm Shay.
And we'll see you all for the next episode of 1224. Do not eat your grandma if she's a cake.
Yeah. Unless she talks to you. I don't know.
Unless she requests that.
Yeah.
Then that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll get through it. Okay, bye.
Bye.